that you don't like before you even leave. It's ridiculous. They've come a long way. The question is whether or not they're going to go far enough.
Yeah, telephonically, so from the standpoint of telephones.
There will never be a deal.
Guys, get with the program. He's inventing the newest words, the most beautiful of words.
Are you considering...
It's a telephonic communication auditory process.
Have expressed interest.
But it's hilarious that they're like, this is the most threatening thing of all time. Like, he made this beautiful piece of art when he was at the beach, and he put it down. He took a photo of it. He found it that way on the beach. And now Trump is like, he's trying to me. It's one of the worst threats from the standpoint of threats. That's what they said about Abraham Lincoln. Look what happened to him.
Wait, I don't want to get you guys involved, but I can imagine what you're thinking.
I don't want to get you guys involved. That's your favorite thing, man.
They pulled out of OPEC.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great. Look, I know him very well, Mohammed, and very smart. And he probably maybe wants to go his own way. That's a good thing. I think ultimately it's a good thing for getting
live, laugh, love, live, laugh, unalive the president.
Everything down. They have it all. He's a great leader, actually. So no, I'm okay. They're having some problems in OPEC.
Mr. President, Kevin Warsh passed a hurdle today. The Senate Banking Committee confirmed his nomination. It will go to the Senate floor.
We need
He'll be on the
somebody.
Fed in mid-May. Is it your expectation that he can persuade the other Fed governors to lower interest rates?
Well, we'll
because they
see.
haven't
I mean,
done
they
so
should.
recently.
Because it's a good time to lower them. We're the most prime
Have you talked about
country anywhere in
Louisiana?
the world.
Briefly. We're going to get back to it. We just
Right now
tuned into the
having
president
investments
speaking.
made in our country at a level that nobody's ever seen. No other country's ever seen it. Tens of billions of dollars are being invested. Factories, auto plants, AI. I mean, not just AI, because AI is... We're leading China by a lot in AI, as you know. I'm letting them build their own electric plants. They're building them, otherwise you could never do it. It was a concept that I came up with. I'm very proud of it. And by the way, they're building electric plants that people in the utility industry have never seen before. They're saying, man, that's incredible. So they're building these massive buildings that cost billions of dollars, and they're building their own electric plants. So they're not taking from a source or the old grid, you know, an old grid that would be able to do it. No, we're leading with everything. But in the history of our beautiful world, there's never been a country that has so much money being invested
In the history of our beautiful
and
world.
a tremendous number of auto plants, by the way. The auto plants are coming out of Canada, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Germany. They're all coming to
No one has ever built automobiles before in the history of our beautiful world. They're building it in ways that they've never built before. Believe it. Unbelievable.
And those days are over. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, regarding Iran, how long are you prepared to maintain the blockade? Could that go several more months?
Well, the blockade is genius, okay? The blockade has been 100% foolproof. It shows how good our Navy is going to play games. We have the greatest military in the world, and I built much of it during my first term, and we've been building it since. And the greatest anywhere in the world, nobody even close. And you see that whether it's Venezuela, and they have a good military in Venezuela, but it was over in one day. It was actually over in about 48 minutes. Iran, the same thing. I mean, militarily, we've wiped them out. They have no military left. It's all the Navy's at the bottom of the sea. The Air Force is never going to fly again. We've got an amazing military. Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble. It's a dead economy.
Economic fury and the blockade get Iran to talks fast enough, or do you think another wave of strikes will be necessary?
I don't know. It depends. We have talks. We're having talks with them now, and we're not flying anymore with 18-hour flights every time we want to see a piece of paper. We're doing it telephonically, and it's very nice. I make a call, or I have my people make a call, and you know the answer. I always like face-to-face. I consider it better. But when you have to fly 18 hours every time you want to have a meeting, and you know what the meeting's all about, and you know they're going to give you a piece of paper that you don't like before you even leave, it's ridiculous. They've come a long way. The question is whether or not they're going to go far
Yeah,
enough.
telephonically,
So,
from
at
the
this moment,
standpoint of telephones.
there will never be a deal.
Guys,
unless
get with the
they
program.
agree
He's
that there will be
inventing
no
the
nuclear
newest
weapons.
words, the most beautiful of words.
Are you considering
It's a telephonic communication auditory
like-
process.
have expressed interest?
You're going to have to say it differently.
Unbelievable. You don't
Considering
understand it.
relocating
It's fine.
NASA's
It's okay. You
headquarters
don't
out of
get the
DC
telephonic
once the leases of states like Texas,
communicatory-
Well, the best man to tell you that is the man standing right over here. You heard that question? With those beautiful ears of yours? He's got great hearing, you know, super. He's
What?
got super hearing.
Oh, because his ears are so big.
And
Oh my God.
I think the answer to that is we.
Oh
we
my
have
God, he
we have
cooked his
amazing centers
ass.
around the country that all kind of bubble up to contribute to the mission we're able to undertake, like Artemis 2. I think in terms of the headquarters, we have a
cooked
lot
his
of people
ass.
very interested in our mission. So being here in D.C. gives us the opportunity to kind of interact from all our stakeholders, make sure we make the right decisions for the nation.
Yeah, D.C. is an advantage, I guess, for you. He's got to go around. He's got to see some senators, make sure they keep going, right?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, probably staying around's not so bad. And importantly, Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. When I came here a little more than a year ago, it was a very unsafe city. And now, maybe even more importantly than that, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And you
That's
helped make it
amazing.
hot. You know, you helped make it hot. When a year and a half ago, and I say it a lot, the king of Saudi Arabia, but others also, the king of Saudi Arabia said, Mr. President, a year and a half ago, we thought you had a dead country. We thought the United States was a dead country, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we do. And believe it or not, I mean, when everybody in the world was watching that incredible performance by NASA, these incredible people behind me, where they get the bravery, I have no idea. But you're a big part of it. You really are. We have the hottest country in the world. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad.
NASA. We flexed on the world. We flexed on the world, believe it. NASA, from the standpoint of planets, there was a lot of telephonic communication and auditory process between me and the astronauts. They told me, Mr. President, it's like you're right here with us on the plane. They call it a plane. I call it a spaceship, but they call it a plane, believe it. That's right. He really thinks he's so smart. He's smart. It's so funny. Yeah, it's awesome. These people are some of the most impressive people, and they have to eat shit listening to this old orange thing. Yeah, I mean, bro, he did it to the king of England yesterday. So, all right, but we'll get to that later. But for the time being, can we just get back to Louisiana, please? Your haters are trying to cancel your normie followers and failing at it. What is this?
Today, where my name's been mentioned or whatever, or just like in case there's an update. And I get this tweet. Ain't no way this is how I find out that Emma Rome is a follower of the very demon that publicly said American deserved the events of 9/11 and frequently
He got so mad that he literally didn't even demonstrate proper grammar. What level of stalker are we on, bro? What level of stalker are we on, bro? He's like these people are insane. The pearl clutching is abysmal, dude. Big dog. I work with politicians. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I watched a streamer called Dish Soap get bullied into unfollowing you. Wait, what? There's people that are being bullied. They're like, you have to unfollow this person. Check out his bio of what? The Sheriff Typhoon guy. Bro, I'm telling you right now, this is a devastating predict my haters. Okay? My roommate literally won't accept that you weren't talking about the people in the buildings. I don't understand how we arrived at this level of peak mass hysteria. I don't know how much of it is like Islamophobia, where they're like, no, his name is Hasan. Of course, like, his name is Hasan, so obviously he's like a terrorist, and he admitted it in secret. What he thinks in secret, he admitted publicly, and will always bring it back over and over again. Day Soap is a goat. Yo, I couldn't believe watching it. People are weaponizing the woke 1.0 tactics to try and silence you, and I think it's going to backfire. I mean, it's not going to work. Obviously it's not going to work because I'm not, I'm stubborn as shit. Yeah, Van Jones did reach back out to me. He said, I'll reach out. I said, hey, Van, You know, we can have a conversation live whenever you want instead of whatever this video is, balls in your court. He had to reach back out, bro. What do you mean? I got 24,000 likes on that post. It's happening because Amerifats are illiterate psychopaths that have never been bullied for being illiterate psychopaths. They're being punished for being stupid cows, so they try to get to post their mental illness everywhere. I just don't. I truly don't understand what would cause someone to behave like this. Like, this is the type of shit that people would do. This is the type of shit that people would do for like a prominent neo-Nazi or something. Like, woke people would do this. Yeah, I saw this. This is an actual frame he used in the video. Never take Van Jones serious, man. I need him to never talk again. I think this frame is awesome. I think an AI image of this sort is beautiful and wonderful, okay? You are a hater. Yeah, Hasan is refusing to condemn Hamas' use of Mario Karts during their Blue Chew-induced attacks on October 7th. Okay, stop. Cancel culture is really dead. Damn, bro. They have to work overtime for one unfollow. No, but like, these are the same people who spent most of the woke 1.0 complaining. These are the people who spent most of woke 1.0 complaining about like campus liberalism, right? Campus liberalism and the intense ways in which they refuse to engage with counter arguments, with counter narratives, and they were just always, all they wanted to do was silence their opposition, all this stuff. And like, it certainly did get out of hand in many respects, but at least those campus liberals were like, you know, they had a decent moral posture, a decent moral position, you know? Wake told the story the other day that a VTuber he was friends with lost and Piker because she was friends with Wake and he's friends with you. What? Lost a Piker? What do you mean? You mean like a subscriber? It's anti-communist hysteria. Probably it's ideological, not the specific issues they actually attack you on. I think it is anti-communist hysteria for sure. There's also, you know, 8 years of cyber stalking that people can lean into. The original person that tweeted that is deleting their tweets saying that they're going to deactivate their account. I think it's just a stupid ass sensitive chud. They can't handle their streamer following Hasan. Yeah, no, it's always like right wingers that treat me with this intensity where they're like, these are the same people who are like, oh, woke ass pussy libtards who can't handle different opinions, then turning around and being like, you follow Hasan, he's an Islamo-communist terrorist, how dare you? How dare you? You're my favorite streamer, I'll kill myself. like, bro, you can't have both of these thoughts at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be this guy who on the one hand is like, what is this? After reading the replies, wait, what? Deactivating Scout? I'm too much of a threat to be allowed on here. Goodbye. After reading the replies, I would like to personally apologize to everyone I've affected as I interpreted this the wrong way. If you happen to see this, I have nothing against you. I just saw something and commented on something I shouldn't have, and that's my own fault. Side note, it's the right thing to do. Then I will take a break from this app and actually do something productive. I take responsibility for everything that I've caused, and I will refrain from doing it again in the future. You know what? It's better that I just delete the original tweet so I don't upset any more people. I caused an uproar. Wait, what? What is going on? Blue Sky is that way, bro? Yeah, these guys need like their own. Isn't Truth Social good enough for them? Hey, thank you, Majority Report, for the raid. Hope you had a good one. You're rating the most dangerous streamer in the United States of America, perhaps one of the most dangerous figures in the United States of America, but hope you had a good stream. Welcome to the Pro 9/11 broadcast. She says she was no longer following you. They got what they wanted. Oh, no.
Shocks his own dog with an electric collar. I could be blowing this way out of proportion, but I find this very alarming. This is what he's seeing. I
mean, this is like an insane thing to demand out of any streamer, for the record. Like, when you guys try to do this shit to me, when you try to follow police me, what do I tell you? What do I tell you every time? I tell you to suck my cock. And for good reason, right? I don't know. I don't really care about what other streamers do. More power to them if they're going to give into their like weird parasocial stalker fans. Follow whoever the fuck you want to follow. I follow heinous people, okay? Not to say that I'm a heinous person. I'm very clearly not. But in a media environment that we exist in, unfortunately, advocacy of any sort against some of the most disgusting influences in the space that we're in, you know, rank misogyny, anti-Semitism, anti-blackness, Islamophobia. When you do stuff like that, you're not seen as a controversial figure. If you oppose things like that, you are seen as a controversial figure. And the very same people who actually love these kinds of bigoted opinions will do everything in their power to make other people who don't have those bigoted opinions feel like I embody those bigoted opinions. The irony, of course, is that if I was a white supremacist, anti-Semite woman hater, most of these people that are crying about me would unironically and sincerely love me. They would ride for me as they do for the likes of Asmongold and numerous other quote-unquote apolitical actors who regularly traffic in this kind of toxic behavior. Moss Piker, I follow insane people. I need to hear it all. You are Hitler 2.0. Yep. Like, I can't tell if this person is like making a joke about how insane my haters are or if they sincerely believe this at this point. But I guess that's the point, right? The reality of the matter is, if I was Hitler 2.0, many of these same people who are constantly going around freaking out would be like, no, that guy's awesome. He's apolitical. Why the fuck are you chirping at him? But ultimately, I think, follow policing and things of that nature are unbelievably cringe. But yeah, speaking of Hitler 2.0, according to Josh Gottheimer, I am actually Hitler 2.0. We'll obviously talk about that as well. But more power to Emmy Romy. I don't have any ill will I hope she unfollowed so that people don't harass her any longer. But I have some higher priority issues to worry about, which are not even issues necessarily. But yes, of course, another day, another shellacking. Another day, another complaint. Okay, every fucking day. We have moved beyond the status of Nick Fuentes, by the way, at this point. I know Nick Fuentes cries all the time about being like debanked or being attacked relentlessly, but seemingly for the Israel first congresspersons in this country, regardless of which side of the political spectrum they may be on, I am a much more significant threat than any of these other people, apparently. So shouts out to the one or maybe many AIPAC donors that have been actively pursuing this process. It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything. Most people are reasonable and intelligent enough to recognize that this is a very clear designed smear campaign. So again, it's just like, yeah, I'm in the ranks of some of my favorite politicians, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. I'm up there now.
What in the actual fuck are you talking about? Like, dude is acting like I personally pay Hasan like thousands of dollars a month to fund him talking about whatever he's talking about. Bro's acting like I wake up and pray to him at a shrine or some shit. Like, what are you talking?
Anyway, we are this close to a Trump shout out. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Unbelievable that I got snubbed for anti-Semite of the year, and yet these guys are keeping that fucking momentum alive, by the way. Sad this is happening to you. I don't think you should be sad, for the record. I'm not sad. A lot of people came up to me last night and were like, hey, we're with you. I'm really sorry that this is happening. They're really on your ass. It's pretty fucking crazy. And I told them, look, it's not that consequential any longer because we have won the narrative battle. That's number one. Number two, because there is broad awareness already about this issue, about the issue of Israel, that whenever people actually make this kind of, whenever people actually pursue this kind of criticism, this like cynical smear, right? It only ends up elevating my profile regardless. It's sad because I think the overarching goal here is to make sure that reasonable, Jewish people don't actually ever listen to what I have to say. Like the goal overall is to ensure that Jewish people are kept in fear, hysterical about the dangers that I represent. The only danger from this is that they're calling on social media companies to take action against you. I know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I don't think that there is I mean, I don't think that they will, right? I don't think that social media companies will actually take action. This is a motionless bill. It's entirely designed. It's entirely designed to farm donations from specific donors who they want to, be reliable allies to. They're like, look, we're doing our job. We're going after the real villains, right? The real villains in society. The real villain in society is someone like myself. Yeah, it's unbelievable that they delayed the War Powers Act for this, by the way. Yeah. Legislation that might be considered. Not on the House schedule today. Gottheimer's Iran War Powers resolution, which was originally supposed to get a vote yesterday. It's unclear whether the resolution will see action this week amid broader House turmoil. Dems had been hoping to force action around a 60-day mark. Yeah, I'm gonna add them. 2 months into a war and they don't want to vote on war powers. I know. 2 months into a war, they don't want to vote on war powers. Instead, they want to tie me up with fucking Candace Owens. If you get kicked off Twitch and YouTube, you could go to Rumble. That'd be so funny. I'll always find a way. Okay, I'll always find a way. It's really fucking annoying. What's the point of all this? It's nothing, really. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. I think it's a good position to be in. I'm not super worried about it. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I should be worried about it. But it's really, really insane that they're really pushing this. In any case, I think the goal here is to either like bully me into quitting, or maybe, getting someone to go out and do the deed, right? I wouldn't worry about your career, just your life, lol. As long as your life is intact, so is your career. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Ask Jank. What the f- do you think Jank knows about Turkish? I have a significantly better command over the Turkish language than Jank does. The only reason why I don't know what this word is because it's like an old word. Turkish has a lot of loan words from other languages and a lot of old words as well that like are no longer in utilization at all. Plus that is a cürüm veya cürüm Arapça kökenli. Yeah. I guess it's a Arabic loan word. Kabahat demek. Cürümünüz demeye çalışmış. O da gühanız demek. Cirim ne ben de bilmiyorum. See, a lot of Turks don't even know what the cirim is. But yeah, I'm learning Turkish, man. I'm astounded by the lack of synonyms in general, variety of words, a much more efficient language though. Yeah. Cirim kelimesi hatalı olarak cürüm şeklinde kullanılır. Olsa cirim, hacim, ebat. Oh, hacim, ebat anlamlarına gelirken ve bu cümleye en fazla kendi boyutun kadar zararın olur anlamını katarken cürüm kelimesi suç, hata anlamlarını taşımakta ve cümleye bir anlam katamamaktadır. Bu son örnekte hatanın üzerine yapılan bir hatada ünlü düşmesinin göz ardı edilmesidir. Cümlenin en doğru şekli ateş olsa cirmi kadar yer yakmaktır. Okay, that was tough. That was toughest to read because he's writing in Turkish but with the English lettering as well. Reisin Türkçesi yerinde ha. Evet, benden iyi reisin Türkçesi valla. Dr. Yarrak. I did not get the notification that you were live. Yeah. Dr. Yarrak. Remove English stream tag Pago. Yeah, I'm speaking that language that is condemnable. Okay, I'm speaking that condemnable language. Anyway, we're obviously going to get to all of that, but let's start with the Supreme Court situation first. Supreme Court rules 2024 Louisiana redistricting map is unconstitutional. Let's start there, and we'll continue.
6-3 decision along ideological lines. The High Court has just ruled that Louisiana's 2024 map, which created the state's second
Mallory
majority
McMorrow
black congressional district.
Mallory McMorrow talks shit about me again as well. Jesus Christ. It's like, it has unironically turned into slop tuber drama. I can't believe that like real ass adults are behaving like slop tuber drama. It's unfreaking believable. I don't know. I don't know how we are like this. I don't know how this is the world we live in now.
Unconstitutional. The court writing that, quote, the Constitution almost never permits a state to discriminate on the basis of race, with Justice Alito delivering the opinion for the court. The decision marks a major win for Republicans, as Louisiana will now have to redraw its districting map and could have major implications for upcoming elections. For that, I want to bring in senior justice reporter Ryan Riley, who has been following this for us. Ryan, talk about those implications, right, of this decision out of Louisiana. We have a huge election now, just 7 months away come November.
Yeah, it's going to be a real scramble. And remember, Yasmin, before all of this, they originally drew this map that despite Louisiana's population being a third black, that only one of the 6 districts that they drew originally was majority black. And so when they came back in order to sort of comply with the Voting Rights Act, they had drawn maps that created 2 majority black districts. But overall, if you look at the course of the Supreme Court's jurisprudence on the Voting Rights Act over the course of the last decade plus, I mean, they've been chipping away at the Voting Rights Act ever so slowly. And I think this is another big chunk that essentially they're taking out of the Voting Rights Act, which was sort of meant to originally, make voting more equal, give individuals who had been suppressed for generations and for years more power in their own government. And so this is, from a purely political standpoint, you should benefit Republicans. It's
got to be unbelievably unfortunate that you could just kind of look like J.D. Vance now. And you look so much. Just dropped a saying, Hasan is a flake. Thank you. Gas bags of Twitch. What do you mean? I'm a flake? On what? Did you mean like I'm a fake? Anyway, let's do this. Let's finish this redistricting battle and we'll get to the controversy in a second. Okay? If you send me another bout in socialism or a TikTok video, I'm going to laser you out of space. Okay? Into orbit.
Sort of mentioned, and I think that voting rights advocates see this as another sort of clip out of being taken out of the Voting Rights Act, which has already been severely weakened by the Supreme Court over since 2013, really.
We're hearing from the Attorney General to Louisiana, Ryan, in which the Attorney General says the Supreme Court has ended Louisiana's long-running nightmare of federal courts coercing the state to draw a racially discriminatory map that was always unconstitutional. And this is a seismic decision reaffirming equal protection under our nation's laws. One of the reasons why I'm looking down right now is because I'm reading this right off my phone as this statement is now just coming in. Talk us through how this could also have further implications on states throughout the country, in California and Texas as well.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what the majority here is saying that these things have to be race blind, right? So factoring in who might have been overlooked in the past is not sort of something that they say, that you basically have to pretend that race doesn't exist. That's not a factor that you can be built in. In fact, the suggestion here is that it's sort of reverse racism to consider those factors. And so I think you're going to continue to see this pushback from voting rights organizations. And it comes at a time when the Trump administration is doing a lot to try to clamp down on voting across the states by requesting all of this documentation from states, having them send these voter rolls. Some states have proactively cooperated with that. Other states have resisted, and those states have been backed up by courts because courts have found that the Justice Department was going beyond what it had the right to do and didn't have a justification. There wasn't actual allegations of voter fraud. And obviously, if you step back even further, Donald Trump has for over a decade had these concerns that he proclaims about voter fraud, and that's not something that's ever been disproven because every expert you'll talk to will tell you that voter fraud is not a widespread issue.
Ryan Riley, stand by for me. Want to bring back in Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, I lied. I thanked you, and now I'm bringing you back because that's what happens on Capitol Hill. You, it seems, are the center of the universe right now with all that's happening right now. I know you heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson about this decision out of Louisiana and redistricting. What did he tell you?
Yeah, we did. My colleague Brennan Leach was in that big scrum as they move behind me. You'll see them to the House chamber. Let's take a listen to what he said. And it's important not only because he's the Speaker of the House, he's interested to protect his majority come midterms, but also because this district actually borders his in Shreveport, Louisiana. So let's take a listen to what he said, and we'll talk about it later.
The Supreme Court opinion came out. I've obviously not had a time to read through that. I used to litigate these kinds of cases, so I'm looking forward to it. But I just talked to some folks who've gone through it, and they said that this is obviously the right result. They determined that the last map that was drawn for Louisiana was done unconstitutionally, and we've been saying that consistently from the beginning. That was the obvious result. So we'll see what effect it has. We have, as you know, a primary coming up in about 2 weeks. So we'll see if the state legislature deems it appropriate to go in and draw new maps.
Now, Democratic Cleo Fields currently holds that seat. He was reelected in 2024.
Marsha Blackburn kind of giving the game away, wants all GOP Tennessee. Senator Marsha Blackburn calls for a special legislative session to draw all GOP Tennessee House map. They're really pushing it, dude. They're really, really pushing it. There are more registered Democrats in this country than there are registered Republicans. Democrats are in more populous areas. And not only that, but also, there is tremendous discontent towards the Republican Party. These guys are trying to game the system in a way. These guys are trying to game the system in a way where they don't have a democratic process at all, right? And I think it's going to backfire on them. Hopefully, this lights a fire under the asses of the Democratic Party. The National Democratic Party has to fight back against this, because this is now actually threatening their power, right? This is a very clear undemocratic power grab that they are engaging in, and they're going up the escalation ladder. They started this process. Democrats responded, and now they're doubling down. And I don't know where this actually ends up heading. Obviously, there's the idiotic gerrymandering that they could do that would technically backfire on them, like in places like Florida, right? Which is the threat that is stopping them, I think, from redistricting in a way where they have, instead of having, multiple safe red seats, they're going to have contested purple seats instead. You guys understand that process, right? Like, because Florida is red right now, and the district maps are designed in a way where they have comfortable, reliable +5 to +10 red districts. If they actually chop that up in a way where they redistrict to create more seats, right? To create more Republican seats, they end up generating unsafe seats where they're like +2, +3 Republican. It's not a guarantee that those seats will stay Republican, and Democrats could actually pounce. That was what Hakeem Jeffries was saying, where he said, we're ready for war anywhere and everywhere. What he was talking about is if you redistrict in a way where you now have contested seats, we will put money behind making sure that those new seats that you design that are supposed to be reliable Republican seats, because of the purple nature of said seats, we will do everything in our power to win those seats, right? So it's a good thing that the Democrats are aware of. They call it dummy mandering. I don't really like that term that much, right? But ultimately, it's very clear. It's very clear that the Republicans are doing everything in their power to make sure that no Democrat votes are ever heard. Like, no Democratic voices are ever heard. Obviously, they've done this in the South for many, many years. Is a big part of the redistricting is to undermine the black vote and to eradicate the black voice in general from participating in the political process. Obviously, Louisiana's redistricting is a great example of this, as they very clearly explained. A third of the state is black, and yet they're doing their very best to rewrite the map in a way where black voices are just not heard at all in the state. This is what's happening in Missouri. State GOP gerrymandered, and now there's potential 2 socialists to have seats in Congress from here, Cori Bush and Hartzell Gray. Exactly. Well, I will be at the heart of that redistricting process, where I will be in Missouri on Friday on May Day alongside Cori Bush. But yeah, it goes beyond congressional maps. Everyone is discussing congressional districts, but the VRA effects were up and down the ballot with huge implications for who holds local power. Here's a story on how Tennessee community was bracing for SCOTUS. Black residents in West Tennessee just won fairer districts. Now comes SCOTUS. Cori Bush is not good, man. Shut your ass up, okay? I don't want to hear it. I love Cori Bush. Cori Bush is a fighter. Cori Bush is exactly the type of politician that we need in Congress. What the f are you talking about? She literally got eradicated from her position by AIPAC. Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman are 2 warnings from AIPAC that dumped collectively $30 million in the 2 Democratic primaries in an effort to punish politicians from speaking out against Israel. And you're over here leaning into that nonsense. How can you be a 10-month subscriber of mine and eat that bait? My apologies because AIPAC got me. Wesley Bell is horrible. Okay, he can't even face his own constituents. Last time he did a town hall, he brutalized his constituents and he packed it up and he never did a town hall ever again. He is entirely an AIPAC stooge, okay? Through and through. He is an empty suit filled to the brim with AIPAC dollars. He was Cory Bush's replacement. I think you're thinking of Cory Booker, who is a man. Cory Bush is a female representative. What's crazy is if white people in the deep South, Alabama, Louisiana especially, vote normally compared to the nation, those states would be like D10 because of how many black voters there are. It's just the white people there are so poor and so brainwashed, they vote like R plus 40 compared to like Utah or Michigan. Yeah. Anyway, ABC Hasan Piker getting the same treatment. Jimmy Kimmel can take shelter from recent sick Trump joke controversy in his $8 million mansion. That's kind of crazy that they're just like, hey, oh, nice joke you made about the president. Here's your house. We're doxing you. I hope someone's you. What a cool and normal response from this right-wing dish rag. Okay. Oh, good jokes, man. Hey, good jokes, comedian. Here's your house. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing in this country? How is this in any way, shape, or form a normal reaction to a fairly normal joke about how like Melania hates her husband and is like hoping that he dies hoping that he dies someday so she can finally be free. Like, that's the joke, right? The joke is that only God can free Melania from this prison, this golden cage that she exists inside of. That's the whole joke. Oh my God. I cannot believe how much they're up Jimmy Kimmel's ass, bro.
But as Ryan pointed out, this certainly gives Republicans the edge at a moment where they need one. We've been talking about their narrow majority. It's part of the reason why House Speaker Mike Johnson has such a headache on the floor right now when it comes.
Listen, all I'm going to say is this on the Jimmy Kimmel controversy, which is not even a controversy at all. You can't be this unpopular and this much, okay? Eventually, people are going to start whipping ass, okay? If you're this unpopular, if you're this unresponsive to the people's material needs, if increasingly more difficult to come by, if inflation is happening in grocery stores and you're turning around and being like, I want to build a ballroom, and you turn around and you're like, oh, we need to kill Jimmy Kimmel, I can't believe he made jokes. You don't have a fucking movement. Eventually, you're going to have more people turn on you from your movement when they also recognize you're not serious. You're a fucking baby. You're a goddamn crybaby, okay? It's unbearable, these guys. These guys are so fucking annoying. It's like adding insult to injury every day. We have to just like be at the mercy of a bunch of schizophrenic crybullies all the time. Ooh, I'm scared that you said 8846. How dare you? How dare you put 8846 in seashells on at the beach? That really terrified me. Of course, I was trying to prosecute you and threw the book at you and couldn't actually successfully prosecute you any other way. Now we found a court dumb enough in North Carolina to make this a fucking federal case, even though it's most likely going to get thrown out again. Ooh, I'm so scared. We have to do another media discourse cycle on how scary 88 or 8647. I don't even know the fucking numbers. Jesus Christ, 8647. Oh, you said 8647. It's fucking bullshit. Connor Reed's Pants says Jimmy Kimmel should actually threaten violence towards the president on TV as a joke. Would be a funny bit. I agree. He should really test out the boundaries. He should do a whitest kids you know bit on what you can and can't say about the president. Okay? He should be like, here is what is allowed under the First Amendment. Here is what is not allowed under the First Amendment, right? The part that's most fascinating to me is the speed with which jokes are jokes, folks, turned on this. I know, it's fucking unbearable. These guys, God, they're so shitty. They're so lame. They're so fucking lame. That is unironically, like that's almost, they're so lame that their behavior is almost worse than the threats that they are very clearly designing against the First Amendment. Obviously, that's the highest priority here, but somehow the way in which they're going about this has made it even like the insult to the injury is almost worse than the fucking injury. I can't stand it. I hate this shit so fucking much. I used to rip on a lot of the super woke, super sensitive people on my side as well when they used to do this, right? But I still understood and maintained the position that at least they had like a moral, at least they were on the right side of morality, right? Like they wanted to sanitize conversation and discourse to a degree that was unproductive and silly. Maybe they were far too predisposed with aesthetics and optics in a way that was unproductive, but at least they were like morally on the right side. They were like, oh yeah, we want to make sure that, we live in a better society, right? These guys want to live in an objectively worse society while simultaneously, in the most hypocritical fashion, try to fucking design that objectively worse society in a way where you can't even fucking say mean things about the goddamn president. What the fuck are we doing? He sucks dick, bro. What do you mean? Fix the problem. Okay? You can't complain about behaving like a Nazi and then having people call you out for behaving like a fucking Nazi. Here's one quick solution. Stop being a fucking Nazi. Jesus Christ. Incredible, dude. They never posted someone's damn house for punching up. I know. It's always punching down with these people. That's the other side of this, like this humiliation ritual that we have to participate in somehow. We have to take sincerely as though they have a real point here every damn day of the fucking week. It's like we're at the mercy of madmen, a psychopathic, bloodthirsty cult of Trump sycophants that are running around saying, oh, you make jokes about my president? How dare you? Here's your home address. You should be killed by a lone wolf actor. You're a fucking psycho, man. Wake up. Meanwhile, again, we're getting back to the Supreme Court. Stop using the phrase sucks dick as an insult. Shut the fuck up. Shut your bitch ass up, dude. This is what I'm talking about. Stop being so fucking sensitive, okay? Jesus Christ, I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. Oh my God, I hate it when all of you fucking school marm woke lords do it, and I fucking despise it when the Republicans do it, okay? It's annoying across the board. Nobody likes it, okay? No one. And I mean, no one likes it. You do not come across as a more moral being when you behave like this, okay? Enough. Jesus Christ.
To separate matters involving DHS funding and FISA reauthorization, that spy surveillance provision, but certainly when it comes to this tit for tat that we're seeing across the country, something that began in Texas at the president's direction. I know there's an additional voting rights component to this specific map and this specific decision from the Supreme Court. But just in the last couple of minutes, we also got news that in the Florida House of Representatives in that state, they actually just passed a new congressional district map that was proposed by Ron DeSantis, the governor there. Just
nah, bro, you're a public commentator, looks unprofessional as hell. Okay, man, I'm fucking unprofessional. What do you want? This is how I am, okay? This is who I am. What is this like parasocial desire to forcibly change the dynamic of the fucking content that you're consuming? It's okay. I know this is an interactive medium, but it comes across as unbelievably annoying, okay? You can tune it out. You can turn off the TV. You can pick a different channel, okay? I'm sorry that I'm not perfect for you, okay? I'm not going to be a different person than who I am. Stop.
This week, and that would give Republicans potentially another edge, potentially 4 additional seats to the House of Representatives. That still needs to go through the Senate, is expected to be tied up in courts, just as we've seen Louisiana and these other states be so far, but certainly a major development. And one that Republicans and Democrats are both paying attention to. The chairwoman of the DSCC, this is the committee tasked with reelecting Democrats in November. She put out a statement already, Susan DelBene, saying that this case may have been brought on by those who seek to suppress the votes of millions of Americans, but she says these schemes will backfire. She talks about how corrupt it is, a targeted assault of voting rights of Black and brown Americans, but she did say that Democrats remain poised to retake the House majority in November. So extremely interesting dynamic happening here as these competing maps move through the courts.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated. President Trump.
Anyway, Democrats' the biggest adversary in the Iran war is an unbelievable bar from Pete Kegsbreath, drunk rapist Pete Hegseth. Anyway, just a couple of years ago, you used to get to screaming matches with Chad or just watch Sometimes Else. It's not hard just to watch what you like. Yeah, I don't even get into screaming matches with Chad as much lately, so If Republicans aggressively gerrymander the South and eliminate up to 10 Democratic seats under a narrowed VRA, Democrats could respond in blue states. For example, this 52-0 California map could become legal, flipping 4 red seats to blue. That's what I'm saying. There's just like significantly more seats that you could aggressively gerrymander. And then obviously the Supreme Court would decide, the Supreme Court is going to decide that that's unconstitutional, even though all the other Republican redistricting points are constitutional. It's just going to be tit for tat until people realize that there is no more democratic process, right? The democratic process doesn't matter. They don't realize that, like, people are not going to take this quietly, okay? If you keep pushing people over and over again, if you tell them that there's no pressure valve, because that's what democracy is at the end of the day, the democratic process, your vote is a pressure valve, okay? When you teach people that their voices don't matter, when you teach them that their votes don't matter, when you take away that pressure valve from their hands, they are going to take matters into their own hands. They're going to try to do something different to make that change, okay? There's only so much pressure you can apply to the public until they fight back. And this, once again, is analysis. It's not an endorsement. I'm just telling you what ends up happening in normal circumstances. Throughout history, this is always what has happened. Okay? Tyrants get toppled at the end of the day because there's only so much unresponsive authoritarianism that people will take before they take matters into their own fucking hands.
Immigration in this.
Oh my God. You can sit around in your ivory tower and fucking cry endlessly about commentary and you know, things that I'm saying. Oh, Hasan Piker, we got to condemn Hasan Piker. He's like pointing to how unstable things are for the ordinary Americans. You can do that every day, but this disciplining operation is not going to take the problems away. Okay? And for the Democrats, my warning is simple. Okay? If you don't lean in to the anger that people are experiencing right now and you don't offer them an alternative and you think you can sweep these problems under the fucking rug, you are making way for more reactionary forces, because Republicans love that anger bubbling up. They see that tension, they see that angst, they see that animosity, and then they redirect it back to undocumented migrants. They redirect it back to documented migrants. They redirect it back to trans people and then gay people, okay? They redirect it back to women's rights. They will take every single civil liberty away piece by piece because it's always a distraction for them. It's always red meat for their base because they are never going to solve the economic crises. They're contributing to the economic crises that people are experiencing, and they have to constantly dangle red meat in front of the dumbass fucking cult that they have cultivated. And if the Democrats don't actually respond with an alternative vision that chooses to identify these issues and solve them, we're just going to be a fucking one-state fascist country, and all of you guys are going to be in the concentration camps alongside people like myself. So you're a fucking idiot for that reason as well. This is why I also am unbelievably critical of the Democrats too, because they don't fucking fight back. They rarely ever fight back. And when they do, I give them credit, like the redistricting initiative in Virginia. I thought that was a great idea. We need more things like that. But here's a great example of the Democrats not doing that right now. In the day, after 2 months of Donald Trump illegally waging a war of choice against Iran, destabilizing the energy markets all around the world, ruining previous allegiances that this country had with other countries in the Asia-Pacific region, for example, there's supposed to be a war powers resolution that Josh Gottheimer was advancing, okay? It's not on the House schedule for today because Josh Gottheimer is advancing a different resolution instead of his Iran war powers resolution, which is already 2 months too late, okay? It's already 2 months too late. What is Josh Gottheimer, Democratic senator, or a Democrat from New Jersey, sorry. What is he doing? What is he doing instead? A bipartisan resolution from House Rep Lawler, Mike Lawler from New York, okay, whose opposition I'm boosting, Effie, as you guys know, and Josh Gottheimer from New Jersey are condemning me and Candace Owens for anti-Semitic rhetoric and conspiracy theories, and also calls on social media companies to take appropriate steps to enforce their policies against hate speech and prevent the spread of anti-Semitic content. Okay? Just understand. It has just been revealed that the U.S. has already spent at least $25 billion on a war for Israel that began by killing 100-plus schoolgirls, and Congress is now voting on condemning Hasan Piker. That is unbelievable, okay? This is sincerely Democrats openly saying, hey, guess what? We are insincere. We are not serious. We are not invested in making the necessary changes in this country. We are going to advance unbelievable fucking idiotic distractions. Okay? Candace Owens is a malignant force, a cancerous force in American politics. This is true. Candace Owens is unbelievably anti-Semitic. Even this resolution condemning Candace Owens is utterly fucking irrelevant right now. What the fuck are you doing? I'm not even saying this because I agree with Candace Owens in any way, shape, or form. I do not. You guys know this already. I mean, I joke about being a clandestine operator because she's thrown a nuclear bomb in the discourse cycle around the Charlie Kirk assassination when the Republicans were clearly trying to whip up enough mania. She came in and said, no, it was Israel. And then a lot of people happened to believe her. So, regardless of my disagreements, even on that front with Candace Owens, I jokingly say I'm a clandestine operator, right? Even though she's fucking insane. But the fact that they are even writing a resolution where they put me alongside Candace Owens to say that we're both anti-Semitic and someone has to do something about it, social media companies have to do something about it, is so disingenuous, so insincere. Okay? Hakeem Jeffries to introduce amendment to remove Candace Owens from the Hasan Piker resolution. Jesus Christ. You're joking, but that would make it a reliable yes vote. That would be bipartisan. Everyone would vote for that, just so you understand. I've talked to many people behind the scenes, okay, congresspersons, about when I saw this. I talked to my friends in the Hill, and universally, their assessment was obviously that this is ridiculous, right? And it's being done for donors. It's being done to fundraise. It's being done because I have some high-profile enemies, okay, that are aggressively pursuing this deplatforming initiative, and they're willing to pay for it, right? However, the other side of the story that's even more devastating about the way that the Democrats operate, okay, is the reality that the only way that this doesn't pass is not because the Democrats would protect me. Of course they wouldn't. And these are Democratic congresspersons who recognize that too. But luckily, Candace Owens is a part of the bill, and Republicans might shy away from attacking Candace Owens. Think about that. The actual anti-Semite in this resolution is the saving grace that might actually destroy the resolution's passage. This is the ultimate goal here. And here is the reality, by the way. People may look at this and think, man, this is an odd thing to prioritize while our country falls apart. But here's what's important to understand. Piker doesn't have a boss, and absent that, the smear campaign must escalate until he's not invited back by the New York Times or the Pod Saves guys. That's precisely what it is. Feels like they're noticing how effective his stumping for Abdul al-Sayed is, and now they're desperate for anything to disparage any Israel critic politicians. Yes, that is precisely what's going on. And if the Democrats don't realize the genuine threat that this constitutes for themselves down the line, if they fall into this bipartisanship trap and they go, yeah, you know what, we have some really violent people on our side as well. We got to deal with them. We got to do away with them. Then they're basically selling themselves out. They're selling their base out once again. They're fucking endlessly manipulatable. Okay, they're endlessly malleable. They're fucking stupid. Yes, there is a bipartisan bill in Congress right now that demands the condemnation of HasanAbi Piker, okay? Bipartisan laser light focus on material improvements to the lives of the American people exactly as they promise every 2 years. Ignore the fact that these two influencers they want to formally denounce are Israel critics, and that's totally coincidental as always. I love that this guy looked at this situation between me and Candace Owens and said, Hasan Piker is a little more than a critic of Israel. Between me and Candace Owens, I'm the one that's a bigger danger? What the fuck is happening? Candace Owens is run around with a copy of the Talmudic Jew in front of hundreds of thousands of people being like, this is how Jews are. They're contract lords. And this fucking asshole looks at that situation and goes, you know who's actually the real danger here? Hasan fucking Piker. You cannot provide material support. Congress has no business formally denouncing American citizens for their views. They should shut the fuck up and get to work. It's true. This is where we're at in the United States of America. You could spend an entire fucking career combating anti-Semitism on the internet, and as long as you're an avowed anti-Zionist, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? They will literally say, you're a bigger threat. Between me and Candace Owens, I'm the fucking more serious threat to a more serious corrosive influence on discourse. You have to be out of your fucking mind to come up with that. Oh, of course, he fucking quotes the persistence of Benny Johnson. Of course, right-wing dipshit. Oh. It's unbelievable, dude. It is so obvious what's going on, okay? It is so fucking deliberate. It is so obvious what's going on. Don't criticize Israel. If you criticize Israel, we'll make your life a living hell. We'll take away your sponsorships. Oh, you don't have any sponsorships? We'll take away your ads. Oh, you don't run any fucking ads? Well, we'll take away your platform. We'll do everything in our power. We'll hope that someone might get the right lesson. We'll activate a schizophrenic psycho to come and assassinate you, okay? That's what we'll do, because God forbid you have a large enough audience and you're an avowed anti-Zionist. You combat anti-Semitism and you're also an anti-Zionist. You're a threat. That's what this is. And what these people don't understand is that I'm not alone. Okay, I'm not alone. That the overwhelming majority of American society feel this way. So you might deplatform me, you might fucking get me killed, but at the end of the day, this problem is not going to go away for you. Okay, it's not going away. People still feel this way. People know the truth. So you have to address it at some point. Okay, that's it. It's unfucking believable. It's not. Luckily for now, reasonable people obviously are on my side and recognize how insincere and how ridiculous this shit is. But if your goal is to punish critics of Israel, prominent critics of Israel, it's not going to fucking work, okay? You deplatform me, someone else will take my stead. You kill me, someone else, and 10 more people will prop up with the same exact opinions, okay? That's it. And guess what? There's the other side of it. You don't know what kind of opinions those people will have. You know what my opinions are. You know what my goals are. You know what my assessment on the situation is. And in an environment where there is a shit ton of prominent critics of Israel who, at best, are agnostic on the issue of anti-Semitism, and at worst, absolutely utilizing the conversation around Israel to foment anti-Semitism, to target someone like myself who actively does combat anti-Semitism, is unbelievably fucking stupid. And it's exceptional because it's not true. Anyway, let's look at this fucking dumbass resolution. In the House of Representatives, Gottheimer and Lawler are doing this bipartisan bill. Lawler is a Republican from New York. I've obviously promoted Lawler's opposition, Effie. I've had her on the broadcast. Mike Lawler is in a contested seat and is most likely going to lose that seat. Okay? He's terrified of that, so he's trying to, farm as many donations as he possibly can. The resolution is condemning, hold on, open image in new tab, is condemning anti-Semitic, hate-filled rhetoric and content disseminated by prominent online personalities and urging social media platforms and public leaders to denounce and address such conduct. Okay? This is the resolution. Condemning anti-Semitic hate-filled rhetoric and content disseminated by prominent online personalities, urging social media platforms and public leaders to denounce. You know what? Let's fucking look at it in this format is better. You're right. Public leaders to denounce and address such conduct, whereas the rise of digital media platforms has enabled individuals with large audiences to disseminate disinformation, commentary, and political viewpoints to millions of viewers worldwide, whereas such influence carries a heightened responsibility to avoid rhetoric that promotes hatred, violence, and discrimination against any group, including Jewish individuals and communities, whereas anti-Semitism has surged in the United States and globally in recent years, fueled in part by online disinformation, conspiracy theories, and extremist rhetoric. Once again, these guys don't remember, from their perspective, any kind of anti-Israel sentiment is anti-Semitism, right? So what they're saying is, The reason why people don't fuck with Israel anymore is because of content creators. They're stupid. They don't understand that it's not because of just content creators, okay? It's because people saw what Israel was doing. And then they dug deep and learned what Israel had been doing leading up to October 7th. They saw what Israel was doing after October 7th, and they could not believe the violence. And then they learned about what Israel had done before October 7th. That is the reason why. And they know what Israel is doing right now. That is the reason why people don't fuck with Israel, okay? Whereas anti-Semitic incidents have significantly increased, including a 344% increase over the past 5 years and an 893% increase over the past 10 years. Again, ADL's numbers, obviously. This, unfortunately, also factors in, any kind of incident revolving, even Jewish Voice for Peace doing a peaceful anti-Zionist protest in the vicinity of someone who's pro-Israel. That's how fucking stupid these numbers are. They're unbelievably misleading. In any case, anti-Semitism has increased. It's just these numbers are unfortunately ADL numbers, so we don't know what the exact numbers are, okay? An online platform identifies a major vector for the spread of hatred, whereas Hasan Piker, a prominent online streamer, has often used anti-Semitic rhetoric, including expressing support for Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization. Whereas in August 2019, during a Twitch live stream, Hasan Piker stated America deserved 9/11, whereas Hasan Piker referred to Orthodox Jews as inbred, whereas Hasan Piker downplays sexual violence committed by Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization against innocent civilians on October 7th, stating it doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me. Once again, using that out of the ironic part of that is that they're using me saying the sexual violence happening or not doesn't justify genocide, by the way, which is a perfectly normal fucking position, okay? That's not how this works. Whereas Hasan Piker has expressed support for Hamas on multiple occasions, including April 14th, 2026, stating Hamas over Israel every single time and doubling down on claims in multiple media appearances that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel. Like, you can argue with me every day on whether you agree with this or not, okay? But what you can't do is fucking complain that this is anti-Semitic and therefore should be deplatformed. You can't, it's un-American, okay? We don't live in fucking Israel, all right? We don't live in Israel. You can't do this, all right? It is fundamentally against the principle of the First Amendment. This is precisely what the First Amendment is there to protect, okay? Oh, I don't agree with this person's assessment, and therefore he should shut the fuck up. Here's a congressional mandate to get this guy to shut the fuck up. Here's a bipartisan resolution to demand the deplatforming of one content creator that Israel doesn't fucking like. That is unbelievable. There's a Fox article that proves they had people at the event you missed yesterday. Wait, what? You're reading the Wild Fox News article? Anyway, so as you noticed, with the exception of the refers to Orthodox Jews as inbred, right? This is the only one that they can like massage. You know the context behind this. It doesn't fucking matter. I call every racist neo-Nazi group inbred because, ethnic, religious, or any kind of like nationalist supremacist movement obviously requires inbreeding. That's how you get genetic purity, right? That's why I fucking say, oh, these guys are inbred across the board for Hicks, Republicans, reactionaries of all different sorts, neo-Nazis and the like, okay? So that's the reason why I use this substitute term as a pejorative instead of something else. It doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? That's the only one that they can at least like manipulate around to imply some kind of like borderline anti-Semitic statement. I even recognize that, but it doesn't fucking matter ultimately, right? Now, if you noticed, every single other thing is foreign policy related. Every single other thing is Israel related. Okay, even the ultra-Orthodox joke that I made about fucking settlers, like inbred settlers, is Israel related, but it doesn't matter, right? Now let's look at Candace Owens. Whereas Candace Owens has employed rhetoric that has included conspiracy theories accusing Israel of controlling the United States government, promoting false claims that Jews are taught by ancient religious texts to hate non-Jews, and casting doubt on the truth of the stories of Holocaust survivors. Whereas on February 1st, 2026, Candace Owens posted on X an anti-Semitic claim that the United States is controlled by satanic pedophiles who work for Israel. Okay, like there's plenty you can hit Candace Owens on. You don't have to do the highlights where, some of them are at least like in the margins where the majority might agree with her, there are, obviously, this is unbelievably anti-Semitic, especially this, right? But like, the satanic pedophiles who work for Israel is again, it's an anti-Semitic canard, but you could very easily say this is the Epstein class. You know what I mean? So sorry. Sucks to suck, but probably not good to put in there, regardless. Whereas during a podcast appearance on December 8th, 2025, Owens repeated the false claims that Jews are killing Christian children as part of religious rituals. Like, look at this. Like that, how can you have my assessment on Israel's death and destruction campaign in the same fucking breath as this shit? Like, this is literally, this is just the blood libel. Like, this is unironically the blood libel. What the fuck? There's no comparison. You have to be insane to look at this and look at my statements and be like, look, Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel. It's objectively a popular sentiment that is expressed by many people if they think a little bit further on this. But like comparing geopolitical assessments to literal medieval blood libel. Like, what the fuck are we doing? This is what I fucking... Yeah, Jews are killing Christian children as a part of religious rituals that Jewish texts and traditions promote. The sexual assault of children, which is anti-Semitic trope constituting blood libel. Whereas in July 2024, Candace Owens called for the horrific medical experiments committed by Joseph Mengele on Jews during the Holocaust. Bizarre propaganda, continuing that some of the stories, by the way, sound completely absurd, downplaying and rejecting the veracity of those crimes. Whereas on February 21st, 2025, Candace Owens hosted E. Michael Jones, who claimed on her platform that Hollywood created the Holocaust narrative, whereas the amplification of anti-Semitic narratives online can contribute to real-world harm, including harassment, intimidation, and violence against Jewish individuals, institutions, and communities, and whereas public officials, leaders, and technology companies have a responsibility to confront and condemn anti-Semitism in all of its forms, including when it appears in online discourse and influencer-driven media. Now, therefore, be it resolved, that is the sense of the House of Representatives that anti-Semitic rhetoric, conspiracy theories disseminated by influential online personalities, including Hasan Piker and Candace Owens, are dangerous and contribute to a climate of hatred and intolerance. Like, they literally fucking slammed actual unvarnished anti-Semitic protocols of Elder Zion agitprop that Candace Owens is disseminating on a fucking daily basis on her lunatic broadcast to Hasan's assessment is that Israel has killed far more people than Hamas has and therefore is a far worse influence, a far more destabilizing influence in the fucking region and around the globe than Hamas ever could be. That is objective truth. You might disagree with it, and we can have a conversation on those boundaries all day, every day. I can be a very reasonable person, okay? But because they don't want to have that fucking conversation, they just turn around and say, oh, dude, this is crazy. I can't believe you're saying these things. These are unacceptable. It's a terrorist organization. It's a terrorist organization. A Democrat, mind you. This is a Democrat doing this. The same Democrat that is supposed to be, the same fucking Democrat that is supposed to be advancing the war powers resolution that is already 2 months late on Iran. And instead of that, this is the bill that they advanced this morning. Think about that. What a joke of a fucking country we're in, man. Jesus Christ. Individuals with online platforms have a responsibility to refrain from promoting or amplifying anti-Semitic narratives. Social media and streaming platforms should take appropriate steps to enforce their policies against hate speech and prevent the spread of anti-Semitic content. Public officials and community leaders should unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism, including when figures and influencers. Efforts to downplay or excuse anti-Semitic rhetoric under the guise of political commentary should be rejected. And the United States reaffirms its commitment to combating anti-Semitism, ensuring the safety and dignity of Jewish individuals and communities, both online and offline. Yeah, do one on Islamophobia next. Do one on Islamophobia. Think about the amount of fucking Islamophobic attacks that I receive on a daily fucking basis, that Abdul Al-Sayed receives, that Zohran Mamdani receives. Are we going to do a bill on that? No, of course not, because Islamophobia is trafficked by these very same people. Representative Josh Gottheimer, famously after October 7, blamed Islam, okay? Straight up with an earshot of Muslim congressional representatives, a racist monster, a ginormous piece of shit. Fuck you. Anyway, this is them waving the white flag, folks. That's what this is, okay? Here is the silver lining, if you want to know what the silver lining in this madness actually is. Josh Gottheimer knows that the information environment is uncontrollable, okay? So they're testing out the boundaries of how much disciplining they can do with congressional resolutions like this, okay? That's it. They're trying to see if social media companies will bite on this nonsense. They know that they can't win this conversation back But the very least they can do is, you know, buy and sell TikTok with the hopes that people stop saying mean things about Netanyahu and Israel, with the hopes that they can enforce this action upon Amazon and Twitch so that other content creators will think twice. Well, fear not. Most content creators are fucking cowards anyway, okay? Don't worry. They're already worried about their fucking corporate sponsors, okay? Don't worry about that, King. I guess that's the real problem. It's because I don't have any fucking corporate sponsors. The real problem is I'm not beholden to any corporate interest. I'm not controllable. Okay? You have a platform of this magnitude, of this size, and it's not controllable by the regular groups that have some semblance of influence over most people, because most people want to make fucking money. Okay? When they see someone who goes, no, I don't want that. I just want to say the truth. I don't give a shit. I'm backed by my fucking fans. They lose their minds. They don't know how to deal with it. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is dangerous. That's what it is. Fox News, that has not spent a fraction of the time or energy focusing on the Epstein files, is doing this. Help, the Supreme Court just gutted the Voting Rights Act and the president is threatening innocent countries with mass murder. Diet MAGA APAC Dems doing this shit. Yes, exactly. One House colleague of Lawler and Representative Josh Geimer, the gluttonous Israel First monster, Representative Fine has said far worse than Hasan Piker, and censoring Fine is actually a part of their job, but this is all about Israel, so Randy Fine is okay. Is this truly what Congress needs to spend its time doing? Yes, actually, Democrats need to loudly condemn Piker and his bullshit. Again, this person is supposed to be a fucking Democrat, okay, but probably not. They're more predisposed with condemning me rather than Candace Owens. I'm not going to weigh in on the substance, but the idea that America's legislature needs to concern itself condemning extremists at a time when the nation's at war and Congress is dysfunctional strikes me as wrong. I think they can walk and chew gum, but I hear their point. It's just like, I wish people would just stop being fucking pussies about it too, to a certain degree. You know, enough is enough. You can just say the truth, okay? I know it comes across as difficult to defend because there is a barrage of misinformation out there. And that is, in some ways, the point, right? The point is make someone indefensible in the eyes of many so that you can still behave as a partner, right? But you have to be a little bit more quiet about it, right? Just know we have reached a new level here, okay? We've reached a new level here of madness, unlike anything before. Hasan Piker no-shows pro-communist event over alleged safety fears while mocking Trump assassination attempt. Would-be fellow panelist Mohsen Mahdawi told the crowd Hasan Piker faced attacks and targeting after the assassination attempt on Trump. Yeah, I'm not the president, you fucking idiot. We don't get to have Secret Service in the events that I go to. Anyway, I'm not even going to fucking dignify that article and read. Why don't they get you to speak on Congress on this? Your name's on the bill, you should be involved. Doesn't work that way. Just like it's the same principle as to why you know, none of these media outlets are going to invite me to speak on the media outlets where they would rather speak over clips that they have chosen. Okay? That's not how this shit works. In this article, they pretty much confirmed they have reporters that watch the streams now. He spent much of the 6 hours reading aloud articles and expos about himself. In this article, they pretty much confirmed they have reporters that watch the stream now. Great. Great. Keep at it. Go ahead. Keep watching. Maybe your fucking mind will change, you know? This is where we're at, by the way. Here it is. Fox News covered Hasan Piker for 25 days straight. Hello, welcome to the broadcast, Fox News reporters that are in here.
Hasan Piker.
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 Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker.
Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker.
Yeah, Fox News, subscribe to the broadcast, okay? Subscribe to the broadcast, bitch. The fuck are we doing? Imagining a world where they cover the Epstein affiliates. Anyway, yeah, fuck. I don't even know what else to fucking say. There was one piece on this with Mallory McMorrow. We're going to talk about Mallory McMorrow as well. Okay? Look, it's not just Fox News, of course. Yeah. Jake Tapper smears Hasan to a level worse than Fox News. Yeah, of course. Of course he did. This was as bad, if not worse, than what we've seen on Fox News. The Scott clip cuts all the context to show he was talking to Mike Johnson, highlighting his hypocrisy. not a call to violence, and cuts out more context of the October 7 rapes don't justify genocide clip than Fox News does, then takes Hassan's position that Hamas is better than Israel by any metric you want to measure them by, and spins that into seemingly in support of Hamas terrorist attacks on October 7th. Despicable, he's worse than right-wingers. Him and Dana Bash are the two of the worst cretins in liberal media. Yeah, and everyone knows that, by the way. That's the other thing. Like, people in their own orbit know this as well. They just look silly. They look insincere. They look unserious. That's the problem.
Need to contend with this hypocrisy and this double standard. A message for our friends on the left now. You have to face some ugly realities about the acceptance of violence among too many people in your ranks.
Yeah, he's, our friends amongst the left. Bitch, you're not in the left, okay? I can't believe that you are, I mean, I can believe it. Let's be real. This is like classic Jake Tapper. Oh, wow, taking advantage of a Republican wave of censorship demands to go, hey, this one too, please. Because that's all this is. This is from yesterday's Jake Tapper piece, where he's talking about how unbelievable it is that the administration is coming after Jimmy Kimmel for jokes. So all he's doing here is basically saying, hey, Trump, arrest Hasan Piker, not Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is fine. Hasan Piker is not fine. That's literally what this piece is. Okay?
Here is a left-wing streamer on the Twitch platform with whom Democrats, this is a gentleman with whom Democrats...
He's trying to Linda Sarsour you? Yeah, it doesn't work, though, because Linda Sarsour was publicly smeared to this degree, and not to this degree. No one else, I'll be honest, like, I mean, I talked to Linda. I love Linda. I'm fairly certain that this level of public smearing has not happened in a very long time. There is no world where, like, Fox News in unison with two of the top, liberal commentators is going to spend months. There is no single issue reaches this level of salience in American media nowadays. This is an ongoing incident that's been going on for fucking 2 months, nonstop. I can't believe it. It's unprecedented in many ways, okay? But here's the thing. When Linda Sarsour was being attacked, okay, when she was being smeared, it was a different media environment. She didn't have a platform as loud as I do, right? She didn't have a platform that was competitive with CNN. That's number one. Number two, it was in an environment, it was at a time when the broad majority's attitude on Israel-related sentiment was, oh, you say that this person is anti-Semitic? Well, okay, I'm inclined to believe you. I don't really know too much about Israel, so I'll take your word for it. I'll stay away from this person. Nowadays, after 3 years of unlimited child murder in the hands of Israel, when someone who's a prominent critic of Israel is called an anti-Semite, most people go, you say that about everybody, bro. Shut the fuck up. You say that about Miss Rachel, right?
Democrats have campaigned and sat for interviews with and platformed and much more. This guy.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott, okay?
When you say Hamas is 1,000 times better, do you actually mean that? Or is that a rhetorical move or like a solidarity signal? Like what?
I mean, it's all of the above. I do mean it. I think it's a rhetorical move because it frustrates a lot of people. I've also said I'm a harm reduction voter. I'm a lesser evil voter, and therefore I would vote for Hamas over Israel every single time. It doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. The Palestinian resistance is not perfect.
He also said that the United States deserved 9/11. He apologized for that, and he apologized for what he said about Rick Scott after he was suspended from Twitch. But his comments made seemingly in support of Hamas's terrorist attacks on October 7th, in which innocent American civilians were killed. No apology there. We can't pretend that the corrosive impact of such sentiments being normalized isn't happening. It's
gangbanging in media land. Yeah. Yeah, he said seemingly. I like that he added seemingly in there to be like seemingly in support. All right. Mallory McMorrow had another take, apparently, and there's two pieces I want to get into with Mallory McMorrow. Apparently, Mallory McMorrow says Hasan the Hun gets dangerously close to anti-Semitism, claiming he is uninformed, and a lot of what he said is really hurtful to her family. No actual quotes and evidence from Hasan was provided in this claim. Asked whether she believes Piker to be anti-Semitic, McMorrow said no, but added that it almost doesn't matter. This is, of course, to Jewish Insider, another interview that she conducted with Jewish Insider. Okay, Jewish Insider is a right-wing dish rag. It is basically the fake newspaper version of an ADL presser, an APAC presser. Okay, this is op behavior. You can't, on the one hand, be like, "Oh, I disavow APAC," and then simultaneously go to fucking Jewish Insider and give them quotes like this. Anyway, I like that she's also backed away from saying I am the equivalent of Nick Fuentes to, I don't think he's in, I don't think Hasan is anti-Semitic, so that's cool. At least she's like somewhat reasonable enough to read the fucking room, right? I don't think he is. I think he gets dangerously close, she said. I think there's justifiable anger at the ongoing war. I think a lot of what he says is uninformed and hurtful. I can't purport to speak for what he believes in his heart, but I can tell you, for my family, a lot of what he says is really hurtful. Yeah, so we can't call him anti-Semitic, but she can continue to throw out his word with his name in the same sentence. Meanwhile, he's a significant voice against anti-Semitism. He's just parroting what other people telling her.
Anti-Semitism is a canary in the coal mine of fascism. It's one of the oldest bigotries that has caused those of the Jewish faith a tremendous amount of pain.
You know what's really funny about this, by the way? Like, they'll be like, well, don't you think Nick Fuentes opposes whenever someone calls him an anti-Semite? First of all, no, he doesn't, right? But secondly, when has Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or Richard Spencer took the time out to combat anti-Semitism extensively? These people who are, when has Tucker Carlson done that? Right? Tucker Carlson is a media-trained demon, right? So he knows what not to say. He's never going to come out and be like, yep, the Jews are doing this, the Jews are doing that. He'll always say, no, I love the Jews. What are you talking about? Right? But when has Tucker Carlson ever come out and fucking actively spoken out against anti-Semitism? Try to educate people on the dangers of growing anti-Semitism in the country. When? They haven't. That's why this comparison is fucking insane. Yeah, Hasan is as bad as Nick Fuentes. Okay, never mind. Actually, Hasan isn't an anti-Semite, but he gets dangerously close. Okay, so she tried to portray Hasan on the same level as Fuentes to harm Dr. Abdul El-Sayed's campaign, and when that didn't work, she backtracked. No real convictions. Exactly. But Rashida Tlaib asked to apologize to Trump because of Hasan Piker. Jesus Christ. Wow. Rashida Tlaib has called President Trump a fascist. This happened after I asked her to apologize to Trump for associating with Hasan Piker, who was called for Trump's death. Remember this video in November. I've never called for Trump's death, you fucking idiot. When has this happened? First of all, you can't call for the death of the president, okay? Well, you can if you're a Republican and the president is black or the president's a Democrat. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want, obviously, because free speech only goes one way. We already know that, right? But it is literally illegal, okay? That is unbelievably illegal. So, insane thing to claim that I've done, because I would be most likely in prison, okay? Anyway, I suspect Piker may be endorsing the rough moral math that your badness is directly proportional to the number of children you murder. All right, Pete Hegseth, Democrats are the big war. Yeah, not Democrats are the biggest adversary in the Iran war, not Iran. Interesting.
Unlike other president, has had the courage to ensure Iran never gets a weapon, and he's ironclad in that. We have the best negotiator in the world driving that deal. The biggest challenge.
Piker called the resolution a cynical ploy to satisfy donors by its sponsors. Yup, I did say that. I did give a quote to JTA, even though they cooked me last time I had a 2-hour conversation with them. Reps Mike Lawler and Josh Gottheimer are introducing a new bipartisan House resolution condemning left extremist Hasan Piker and far-right podcaster Candace Owens for spreading anti-Semitism. Piker condemned the move in a statement to the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, saying that the congressmen were making anti-Semitism worse, an allegation he has leveled frequently against anti-Semitism watchdogs who have criticized them. They are once again conflating legitimate critics of Israel with actual anti-Semites, Piker said. They would rather complain about fake anti-Semitism in defense of Israel than call out the real sources of Jew hatred with a full chest. I've spent my entire career combating all forms of bigotry, including anti-Semitism, and will continue to do so in spite of the cynical ploy to satisfy donors. I think that's a pretty solid quote, right? The resolution by Lawler, a New York Republican, and Gottheimer, a New Jersey Democrat, states that it is condemning anti-Semitic hate-filled rhetoric and content disseminated about prominent online personalities, urging social media platforms and public leaders to denounce and address such conduct. Early draft language was published by Jewish Insider. It states that Piker has often used anti-Semitic rhetoric, blah, 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 blah. Piker has lately made inroads with prominent Democrats, even as his rhetoric, including stating Hamas 1,000 times better than Israel, has concerned many Jews. He recently told JTA he believes he's fighting, not spreading anti-Semitism, and argued that he's giving a voice to Jews on the left who agree with his perspective. It's true. I am doing that. The pundit, a leading anti-Israel figure on the right, has pushed back theories that Israel is beyond the of Charlie Kirk and has also promoted broader negative commentary about Judaism and Jewish figures. Owens did not immediately return a JTA request for comment. Yeah. Statements from both personalities of resolution states are dangerous and contribute to a climate of hatred and intolerance. There have been several congressional resolutions condemning specific figures of anti-Semitism in the recent years. Last year, Senate Democrats led by Jewish minority leader Chuck Schumer introduced a resolution condemning far-right white supremacist Nick Fuentes along with Tucker Carlson, who had interviewed him. That resolution remains in committee. There have also been measures to censure Democratic reps Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, interesting, and former GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for anti-Semitic rhetoric. A 2018 resolution also aimed to condemn Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. Waiting for the Candace Owens video to say you're worse than her? Yeah, she's going to be like, Hasan is an infinitely worse actor in this space. And then Jake Tapper's going to have Candace Owens on to be like, Candace, I know you and I don't agree on much, but on the issue of Hasan's anti-Semitism being far worse than your anti-Semitism, we are in agreement. And thank you for coming on the broadcast. I am, of course, going to align with you. Yes, Brigitte Macron may have been a man. Who knows? I'm Jake Tapper. And as long as you're shitting on Muslims, I'll be there right by your side. She's expected to go live in 40. Oh, here we go. She's going to say, I am responsible for Charlie Kirk's assassination now. She's going to somehow tie it back to that. Anyway, this was the double Hasans having a convo about, where I was at.
On with that. Because didn't they want a Joe Rogan for the left? They kept saying
kept saying it, but they didn't mean it, Hasan. And they, it's hilarious.
Yeah, why is it a litmus test?
It's hilarious to see what.
Because I'm here for the b-ball and the weightlifting. I was trying to deadlift with my Turkish brother. I was trying to.
Can you keep up with Hasan?
No. But it'd be cool to have him as a spot. Him to spot me. That'd be cool.
Would you stand in a photo with him?
I've stood in a photo with him.
He's super tall.
Very tall, and my man is built.
He's built. It's a good ad for the Muslim community. I don't think he really identifies very much, but as a brown man, he's a good ad.
Yeah.
It's insane what
Fox
they made
and
him.
Friends says he's handsome.
Jessica Tarlov said it's objectively true that he's good looking.
Objectively true?
On Fox, they said that about Hasan Piker.
He is objectively handsome. Look at the New York Times profile of him. I mean, he is...
Of course.
My queen.
I'm gonna take a hard pass on it.
To make him into this boogeyman, we have a war, illegal war in Iran, where we're massacring schoolgirls, threatening the end of civilization. You have the Israelis massacring people in Beirut. You have prices at home sky high. And on top of it, you have ICE rounding up American citizens. CNN is doing multiple segments on Hasan Piker. Like, what is going on here? The media's broken, I know, but come on. It's the Mitt Romney TikTok moment. We can't out-debate these people. We can't beat them with facts and figures, so we must silence them. We must ostracize them. And by the way, all these Democrats who were asked recently, like Cory Booker and Alyssa, would you go on Hasan Piker's stream? Hasan had a great response. I didn't even invite you. But I would say to them, oh no, we wouldn't go on their stream. They go on Bill Maher. Bill Maher has said openly racist things about Muslims, about black people, horrifically misogynistic things.
Nice tie. When can Chowders expect to collab with Gentleman's Gazette? Excuse me. My sartorial choices have been on point as of late, and I think you guys have recognized that. Okay? I hope you guys have recognized it.
You all go on Bill Maher. Like, the double standard is just so brazen. People can see through this bullshit now. It's 2026. The old ways don't work.
You want to get spicier?
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about Iran. Right now, there's 3...
Spice level would kill a white person instantly. Okay. Bro's into suits now. Finally, HasanAbi 35 years is the magic number. I'm not going to lie. The tie is giving bipartisanship defender. Yes. In the interest of bipartisanship, I've chosen to condemn Hasan. Okay. Condemn HasanAbi, condemn Hamasabi. In the interest of bipartisanship, as my tie suggests, I am condemning myself. This is the final. This is the final goal. Okay. I am condemning myself. It is very up that I exist. Hasan Piker has openly applauded Hamas terrorism, downplayed mass rape of civilians on October 7th, and dehumanized Orthodox Jews as inbred. Candace Owens has trafficked in vile conspiracy theories, promoted blood libels, platform Holocaust deniers with audience of millions. They have responsibility to confront hatred and bigotry in every form, not to amplify it to the masses. So if they won't call it out, I will. Is this your tie? Okay, dude. I don't see the hat, but it seems like these shadows have forgotten that you're an apolitical streamer. I know. I should have brought my hat with me. Collab with that Derek guy when? Yeah. Gas prices skyrocketed. 14 service members of Secretary of War doesn't know how much the war in Iran is costing Americans, but the House is voting on a resolution to condemn Hasan Piker. Why did you steal Tucker Carlson's tie? Oh my God, it's literally the same. Oh my God, it is identical. Oh, me. This is one of my dad's ties, chat. I didn't realize that I was wearing the Tucker Carlson tie. It's Brooks Brothers. Take off the tie now? No, I like looking like a chud. All right, let's get to this chud.
The biggest adversary
What the f is this?
we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans 2 months in, I remind you, 2 months in to a conflict. Lest I remind you, and my generation understood we were in Iraq, how long we were in Afghanistan, how long we were in Vietnam. 2 months in on an existential fight for the safety of the American people, Iran cannot have a. We are proud of this undertaking. I am proud that President Trump has had the courage to do it, and I look forward to sharing more about what our troops have accomplished.
Secretary Hegseth, tomorrow is 2 months since the
It's like they're doing the classic, oh, you're talking shit about our idiocy here. You're talking shit about us. Well, guess what? The Democrats hate the troops. It's been 2 months, man. You haven't achieved any military successes. Why can't we just give it up? Why can't we just retreat, man? Please, like open the straight, please. Jesus Christ. It's not happening in any other way, shape, or form. It's not happening militarily. It's not happening militarily. It's not going to happen. Just open it up, man. Just say, listen, my bad. We're giving up on this one. We've up. It's okay. Your sycophants will forget. They won't care. And honestly, at the very least, some of your fans that are on the verge of turning because of the gas prices will forget about this little incident.
You know this.
Hegseth, the facilities have been obliterated. All right, let's just go through
war has
this.
begun. You've testified that it was $25 billion in cost in terms of the munitions we used and what we paid for it. But when you add to that the damage that was done to our bases and today's dollars for buying replacement munitions and replacement aircrafts, what has the total cost been over the last 60 days?
That number right now reflects the total cost that we're seeing.
Including buying in today's dollars the new weapons and replacements, and including the damage there? That's your testimony?
If there's
under oath?
adjustments to that, I would defer to the comptroller on that.
And how much are you seeing in terms of, are you asking in terms of supplemental funding just for the Iran mission from this committee?
If and when a supplemental is submitted,
how much?
The majority of it would not just be for, would not be
But
for
what
Epic
would be
Fury,
the
it would be
ballpark for Iran?
munitions related to the entirety
Just
of
a
what
number,
we want to
sir.
get done.
A number, what would you submit? What
It would be within on Iran, it would be less than 25 billion, but there's a lot more we would ask for beyond just Iran.
You're saying it's
considering-
25 billion. Okay, I would just, if you come back, you want to revise those numbers because all the experts are disagreeing with you when it comes to today's dollars and damage, but you can revise it. How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? Do you have that number in terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it
15-6
costs the
investigation, but I
taxpayer?
wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question.
I cannot believe the way that these people are so careless with your money when it comes to doing wars, specifically wars that we are waging at the behest of Israel. Okay? Can you imagine a world where a sitting representative asks a question to, like, I don't know, a public health official in any state and goes, where is the accounting for $25 billion? And the public health official goes, I don't know. Like, there is no world. I mean, think about it. Think about how much money is being spent on waging wars. How much money is being spent on waging wars, and these guys don't even think that they have to do the accounting. They don't even have to crunch the numbers. They just throw a number that way. Throw a number in your direction and go, what are you going to do about it? It's the military, bitch. Just, it's insane. Think about how much the Minnesota Somali fraud was in the news, for what actions the administration took as a consequence of Nick Shirley, who I cannot make fun of because I don't want to be called out for ableism on top of the anti-Semitism, apparently. Okay? It's illegal to make fun of Nick Shirley now because it's ableism through and through. Let's be real. He genuinely has a significant mental shortcoming, let's say. I don't want to say disability, but you get what I'm saying. You guys can make fun of him for me, okay? I already got the spotlight to all the Fox News reporters that are sitting in my chat being like, write this down, write this down. He said Nick Shirley is mentally deficient. He said, I haven't heard this term before, medically stupid, okay? Yeah, woke is back, baby. Yeah, at Fox News, they're bringing it back. Anyway, so think about how long that was in the discourse, which was already a case that had been investigated, right? That was already a case that was closed. And yet we talked about it endlessly. Now look at this shit. Unlimited tax dollars. It is not $25 billion that we have spent so far waging war against Iran at the behest of Israel. It is so much more than that. We're not factoring in the loss of assets in this calculation. The operational costs are to the tune of $1 billion a day. So the idea that it's only $25 billion, it's not even a conservative estimate. It's just a made up number. Okay? So just remember that. Next time someone goes, how are we going to pay for it? When you ask for healthcare. Okay? When you ask for better classroom sizes and your local politician goes, we can't pay for it. Yeah, we can't. Because all the money is always wasted in the direction of the military-industrial complex so we can generate more unique and creative ways of murdering children overseas and then waste those munitions overseas at the behest and direction of Israel sometimes.
No, sir. I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran
Cook 'em, bro.
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what the...
Buddy, first of all, if that was a sincere concern, which it's not, okay, there was one guy, a Kenyan Muslim communist by the name of Barack Hussein Obama, that actually successfully put together, by way of diplomacy, a multilateral agreement where the participants were our European allies and even China and Russia, that actually put significant checks on the Iranian nuclear program, which they were committed to following through in exchange for sanctions relief. Okay? So if you are genuinely worried and disturbed about the likelihood of Iran receiving a nuclear weapon, gaining nuclear arms and engaging in nuclear sovereignty, okay? If you have a real concern there, well, there was one guy who was able to successfully stop that. His name is Barack Hussein Obama. He's a Muslim socialist communist from Kenya, and he was the one who did it. It was called the JCPOA.
Yeah, you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost
why won't you
gas?
answer?
Good fucking cooking, dude. Okay, Ro. Okay, Ro. Ro cook, nah. Okay, I got to workshop that one. But yeah, okay. He's like, you think it's an irrelevant question? The cost, the unprecedented inflation crisis that Americans are experiencing? You think that's a gotcha question? No, I think that's a pretty fucking important question.
What it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb.
I give you that, sir. But let me.
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now,
No, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Ro, you don't understand. It's worth it. This way, Israel can continue with the Greater Israeli Project, the Greater Israel Project. Tomorrow night on Fox News, Ingram, darling of the Democratic Party, Hasan bin Laden Piker called our best boy Nick Shirley medically stupid. Very ironic for someone like Hasan to say that, considering that communism is actually stupid. Joining me now for comment is Nick Shirley. Nick, what do you make of this Zoom noise? Nick, I don't know what medicamentally means, but Hasan must have gone to the Learning Center. Okay, that's going to happen, by the way. That's not even a joke anymore. So good luck. Good job, chatter. Your wish is now reality tomorrow.
Let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than but what the previous administration did to our economy, what the previous administration did for the inflation.
You know what's upsetting?
And you're going to lecture this administration about the economy?
You know what is upsetting?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence. It's the incompetence. Let me ask you this. Certainly maybe here we'll find agreement. There were still 440 pounds of low-enriched uranium, correct, when President Obama, after the JCPOA? Is that accurate?
The amounts and types are classified.
Okay. Will you acknowledge that there were 970 pounds of uranium enriched after Trump tore up the JCPOA?
The JCPOA was a terrible deal that allowed Iran a path to a nuclear bomb.
You deal with vague platitudes. I'm asking you about numbers. Like you don't know what gas costs, you don't know what food costs, you don't know what the operation costs. You know, I get sound bites, but how about numbers? Do you know how much the enriched uranium was after you ripped up the JCPOA? Trump did.
I'll give you a number. I know that as the price of gas is twice as expensive in California, your home state, as anywhere else in the country because of the horrible policies your state pursued.
You know what? It used to be that type of stuff worked, and then you started to lose the people that you can.
He should have. Here's a better one on this one. He could have been like, so why are you making the rest of the country's gas prices resemble California? Okay, is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to make Texas gas prices resemble California? Stay on message, Pete.
You wanted to be for, because you said you wouldn't get us into bad wars. You said you would bring down the prices. You know what I'm sad for? I'm sad for all the people who voted for Trump. I'm sad for them because you betrayed them. You betrayed a lot of that MAGA base. And you know who knows that? J.D. Vance knows that.
Mr. Hurst, drag you into the conversation here. We have not yet received from the Pentagon the costs of the war. So just for the record, we'd like to get that as soon as possible. Certainly the munitions expended, but also underreported is we've had a fair amount of equipment destroyed, including 2 C-130s with the rescue of our downed airmen. So do you have either A, a cost estimate coming to us anytime soon, or B, a specific supplemental request?
Thank you for that question. So approximately at this day, we're spending about $25 billion on Operation Epic Fury. Most of that is in munitions. There's part of that is obviously O&M and equipment replacement. We will formulate a supplemental through the White House that will come to Congress once we have a full assessment of the cost of the conflict.
Sure. So you're saying the full cost at this point is $25 billion?
Yeah, that's our estimate for the cost.
Okay. Interesting, because I'm glad you answered that question, because we've been asking for a hell of a long time, and no one's given us the number. So if you could get those details over to us, that would be great. Mr. Secretary, you mentioned the nuclear aspect of Iran and the war. And it is worth noting that every president prior to this one, including President Trump in his first term, also prevented Iran from getting a nuclear weapon without actually having to go to war in Iran. So we need to keep that in mind. But also, since the war started, Iran's nuclear arsenal has not been weakened in any way. And at the moment, in negotiations, what Iran is saying, basically pay us to open up the strait. That's their position, which is completely untenable. I agree. It's worth noting, of course, that the Strait was open before the war started. Now we're negotiating to get back to status quo. And Iran's most recent offer is to say, we'll talk about nukes later. So what is the plan to actually turn all of this lethal kinetic action into an improvement in the nuclear situation? Because we haven't gotten there yet. Play it out for us. How does that happen? How does it actually lead to that result?
Well, I would take issue with the premise of the question that nothing was done. Operation Midnight Hammer was a very effective.
Well, I didn't say nothing was done. I said in this war.
Ultimately,
this war started.
Well, this under this administration, unlike other administrations, which cut bad deals and pallets of cash with no ability to oversee whether Iran is actually pursuing a nuclear program.
Which is where
if we want to litigate JCPOA or the Iran deal, our view, the president's view, is that was a very bad deal.
Okay.
That gave them a
That's
bunch
the
of money up
past.
front.
What's the future?
To fund you.
Okay, it wasn't, because guess what? You want to, first of all, if we're judging like the impact of a deal and how bad it is by how much we give to Iran in terms of money, then there is no way out of this quagmire where Donald Trump won't be giving a fuckload more money to Iran in unfrozen assets to the tune of $20 billion. Barack Obama gave 1.7. And also on top of that, probably maintaining somewhat of a toll system in the Strait of Hormuz, or at least like maintaining control of the Strait of Hormuz in the hands of Iran, which was not a thing before this war. And on top of that, most likely sanctions relief, and not just, and here's the key part, the sanctions relief that Barack Obama was allowed to do to Iran was sanctions relief for Donald Trump being the businessman that he is. Donald Trump being the businessman. I'm a numbers guy, okay? I'm a numbers guy, as you know, Patrick Bet David. Donald Trump is going to do a businessman style business deal. And in that business deal, Donald Trump is going to allow American businesses to do business in Iran. Okay? Donald Trump is going to allow the American businesses to open up shop in Iran, which is, in my opinion, the smart thing to do. Okay? We're going to open up Valuetainment headquarters in Tehran. We're going to have the Cuba Day in Tehran. I'm a numbers guy. I did the numbers. I said, Vinny, show me the numbers, Vinny. I said, ChatGPT, we grok it. We ChatGPT it, the numbers. Lots of Cuba Day to be sold in Tehran. Valuetainment Cuba Day. Am I getting a little bit better? I've been practicing. I've been practicing. I'm not even kidding. So thank you, Mr. President. It's getting a little bit better. Let's grok this really quick. But yeah, that's the confines of the New Deal that will have sanctions relief. Won't just be sanctions relief for like European partners, like the secondary sanctions that we apply to like anyone that dares do business with Iran, but also sanctions relief for American corporations, so American corporations can actually invest into Iran, which unironically is a good deal. Like if I'm looking at this from an objective perspective, unfreezing Iranian assets, and also on top of that, giving Iran some semblance of autonomy and doing sanctions relief on Iran and allowing American investments to go into Iran is infinitely better than even the JCPOA. From a moral perspective, it's actually the smart thing to do. It's pro-diplomacy. It's a good thing, right? But from these guys' assessment, it's unbelievably bad, right? They were shitting on Barack Obama. The question is, if Barack Obama did this, what would Israel do if Barack Obama had done this with the JCPOA? Okay, because the JCPOA only allowed sanctions relief for European partners, not American corporations. In any case, yeah, pulling out of the Iran deal was a catastrophic mistake, says Tommy Vitor and Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes says, obvious that pulling out of the Iran deal was a catastrophic decision by Trump, yet that decision got far less media and political scrutiny than the deal itself. Yep, that's true. They're doing paid partnership tweets about you. Someone is paying to make tweets condemning you. That's a chatter, dude. I condemn Hasan Piker. I disavow Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker has no place in the Democratic Party. Hasan Piker needs to be deplatformed. Yeah, that's one of you guys. Okay, 408 Romansky is in here right now. It's not a real paid promotional tweet. Yeah, it's Romansky. He's in here. It's a meme. Anyway, Donald Trump is a very good president. He's going to get the best deal. He's going to get the best deal in Iran.
We talked about negotiated deals, allowed them to fund their proxies all around the region, build up nuclear capability.
What are we going to do?
President Trump has been clear-eyed, from the killing of Qasem Soleimani to the pulling out of the Iran deal to Midnight Hammer and now to this effort to recognize that you have to stare down this kind of enemy who's hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
so they
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the...
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
my time for
we're
just
watching
a quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before. So much so.
You're missing the point. Representative Smith, you're missing the point. It made my dick hard, okay? And that's how we judge our military accomplishments, by how hard it makes our dicks, okay? This is how it works. Yeah, sure, they didn't actually obliterate the nuclear facilities. Sure, we don't even know if the refined, if the enriched uranium was even in the Isfahan facility. But think about how hard my dick was when I thought about the B-2 jets flying over Iranian airspace and dropping nuclear-grade payload on top of these facilities, okay? That's it. That's the point. It made my cock hard, and that's what we do things for. It's clearly for no real, it's clearly for no real military objective, right? So what's the other deal? What's the other objective? The objective is my penis rock hard? The answer is yes, okay? What can it cut? Diamonds. That's right. Hoorah! Now give me some fucking celebration crayons right now, sir.
Their facilities were bombed and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right, let me try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North Korea strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them so they could slow walk their way to a weapon.
Yeah, also, low-key worked for North Korea. And also, here's a really cool way to avoid all of that. Just don't fucking bomb other countries. Like, there's no need for conventional weapons. There's no need for nuclear weapons if there isn't a fucking imminent threat born out of America constantly trying to meddle in the affairs of other countries. And guess what? For the case of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, it fucking worked. It was objectively a W, okay? It was a W for them. They were able to develop sovereignty. Guess which country is not being currently bombed? Guess which country's little schoolgirls did not get fucking murdered? North Korea, okay?
President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
and yet
to ensure their conventional shield was brought
one
to
other
heel,
question,
which we've done.
if I could get to it. So on Ukraine, a year plus ago, your advice, the president's advice, was Ukraine had no cards to play. They should go cut the best possible deal they could. Clearly that was wrong. What did you miss? What did you miss about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that you didn't see that Ukraine was going to be capable of doing what they've done in the last 14 months?
What we didn't miss, and we're here in this committee, is that Joe Biden, with no accountability, gave hundreds of billions of dollars of our weapons to Ukraine, to an outcome that never would have happened if President Trump was president. So he pulled out you guys don't talk about that. Ultimately, President Trump believes there should be a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. And
but you didn't expect Ukraine to be where they're at right now. I'm asking you, just from a strategic standpoint, what
I think the Ukrainians have shown great courage, and I appreciate that Europe is now paying for any weapons that we provide.
All right, I yield back. Thank you.
We must remember 13 Americans have been killed in action, hundreds wounded, and thousands of civilians killed, including more than 100 school children. The risk of this conflict was foreseeable. I'm certain that the Department of Defense knew that it was likely that in a war with Iran, Iran would create an international economic crisis by blocking the Strait of Hormuz and thus stopping 20% of the world's oil. Was this existential threat considered? Apparently not. During the 60 days of Trump's Iran war, critical munitions have been expended at an alarming rate, depleting magazine levels below what is thought necessary to hold China at bay. It will take years and tens of billions of dollars to restock. You and the President are ever-changing reasons for the war. You have misled the public about the progress of the war. While the military has executed this war with tactical success, the strategy has been an outstanding. The war of choice is a political and economic disaster at every level. Despite the President's promise to lower the cost of living, gas prices are up 40%, and inflation is soaring. So much for lowering the cost of living. The President has got himself and America stuck in the quagmire of another war in the Middle East. He's desperately trying to extricate himself from his own mistakes.
I hope you appreciate how reckless it is. When I said reckless, feckless, and defeatist of congressional Democrats at the beginning, that came after watching you say the same thing on CNN this morning, a quagmire. My generation served in a quagmire in Iraq and Afghanistan, years and years of...
Oh my God, you're such a bitch, dude. Ugh. He's just like such a fucking whiny little baby about this shit, too. He's like, oh, you know what's a real quagmire? My generation serving in my generation is getting served a sloppy steak in Iraq. That was a quagmire. Okay, well, you're fucking participating in the new one. Like, what is the complaint currently is coming in the aftermath of the previous quagmires. Okay? The complaint is coming because the previous quagmires took place, okay? And some people have reluctantly, well, they haven't really taken accountability over it, but at least they reluctantly admit that it was a quagmire. So why are we doing a new one? That's the argument. His makeup is on point. I fucking hate Pete Higgs so much.
Of nebulous missions and utopian nation building that led us to nothing.
Yeah, as opposed to this, which is, it's sick. We're just like, we're just lasering. We're just fucking lasering from afar. Little schools, you know? Schools with little schoolgirls in it. That's not a quagmire. It's fucking awesome.
We have right now, the way you stain the troops when you tell them 2 months in, Congressman, you should know better. Shame on you. Calling this a quagmire 2 months in. The effort, what they've undertaken, what they've succeeded, the success on the battlefield that could create strategic opportunities, the courage of a president to confront a nuclear Iran, and you call it a quagmire, handing propaganda to our enemies. Shame on you for that statement. And statements like that are reckless to our troops. Don't say I support the troops on one hand, and then a 2-month mission is a quagmire.
Dude. I mean, even from like a pro-hoorah, pro-government, pro-military standpoint, the easiest counter to this is, yeah, I do support the troops, which is why I don't want them to fucking fly and do bombing campaigns over Iranian soil and potentially get bombed back by anti-aircraft defense systems that they keep seemingly fucking pulling out of their asses, and then have to waste another $1 billion on trying to save the 2 pilots that were taken out over Iranian airspace. Here's the greatest way to fucking preserve and protect the troops. Not send them to Iran for no fucking reason. Okay? Like, that's it. Here's a great way to save all of our troops, okay? Stop bombing Iran. Stop sending them on suicide missions with no real military objective in mind, simply to fucking satiate the bloodlust of the Israeli government, okay? So that we can take out and destabilize one of the primary threats to the greater Israel project here. Why? Why is the American government and the American military, the most powerful military on the planet, the most expensive military on the planet, being used to do sanitation duty for a country that is the size of fucking New Jersey? Why are we doing their bidding? What the fuck is this conversation? And then you sit there and you talk about how like, oh, paying $5,000 extra at the end of the year. The president evidently being influenced by ChatGPT slop being funneled to him by the Israeli lobby groups. Oh my God. Oh my fucking Lord. Oh yeah. What a stupid country
false
we
equivalation. Who are you cheering for here?
That's a false equivalation?
Statement. And statements like that are reckless to our troops. Don't say I support the troops on one hand, and then a 2-month mission is a quagmire. That's a false equivalation. Who you?
This guy's job is to speak, by the way. Okay? His previous job was to go on television and speak. Fucking false equivalation. Jesus Christ.
Cheering for here? Who you pulling for? Our troops are doing incredible work. They've done incredible things.
Yeah, I'm drinking W vodka in honor of my favorite fucking drunkard rapist, okay?
For the entirety
Pete
of this
Hegseth.
mission, and achieved incredible battlefield successes. And you sit there and go on TV for your clickbait about quagmires. It undermines the mission. Your hatred for President Trump blinds you to the truth of the success of this mission and the historic stakes that the president is addressing, which the American people support.
How is this war going? Do you think we're winning?
Militarily on the battlefield, it's been an astounding military success.
No, but are we winning the war?
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you call Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz winning?
Well, I would say the blockade that we hold that doesn't allow anything to come in or out of Iranian ports, which is always
we've blockaded their blockade. So they blockaded us, and then we blockaded their blockade. That's like saying, tag, you're it. Or, you know, if President Madison had said, well, the British just burned down Washington, but don't worry, we're going to burn it down as well.
John Defterios is my former colleague with decades of experience. He knows OPEC more than is honest or healthy as our emerging markets editor. Now senior advisor with APCO, a communications and consultancy firm. John's in Lisbon. John, why would knowing that, you know, if they produce more, price goes down, but they're not happy with OPEC and with their quota?
All right, yeah. Situation monitoring is commencing. It's time for big monitors of the situation to join in. Obviously, you know, many of you were excited at the prospect of us monitoring the situation, and you didn't get that taste yesterday. But the United Arab Emirates is pulling out of OPEC Plus. What does this mean? Okay, well, one, my immediate take on this was they're just fully leaning into being dogs to both Israel and America. Their assessment here is to possibly lean further into America's direction so that America can give them a credit line, get them out of this like current economic downturn that they're experiencing. This is something that only benefits the United States, okay? Like OPEC Plus losing a major partner, a major oil provider in the Gulf is unbelievably unstable. It is going to draw the ire of Saudi Arabia. It's basically losing potentially one major partner, if not the most consequential partner, so that you can use the United Arab Emirates, okay? So that you can, like, I don't know, get something out of this deal where you know, OPEC cartel is no longer as stable. OPEC, for those of you who don't know, OPEC Plus is an oil cartel, okay? That's what it is. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. An intergovernmental organization and cartel enabling the cooperation of leading oil-producing and oil-dependent countries in order to collectively influence the global oil market and maximize profit. It's a cartel, okay? The countries, as of 2026 in OPEC, are Algeria, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon. Iran is a founding country of OPEC. Iraq is also a founder. Kuwait is another founder. Libya, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia is another founder. United Arab Emirates is a latecomer, and Venezuela is another founder, okay? So that's OPEC. OPEC Plus is the additional alliance, okay? There are 12 plus permanent members, OPEC members with 10 additional non-OPEC oil-producing countries, including Russia, Kazakhstan, and others in OPEC Plus. And the United Arab Emirates basically getting out of that deal means that they're going to be doing their own thing. They're not going to be held back. Like in times when, let's say, the American government is like, please produce more oil to stabilize the oil markets, to stabilize the price of a barrel of oil, and OPEC Plus, as they did with Joe Biden, can say off, right? Now, what's interesting about this is that this is beneficial for America's short-term interests, I guess, short-term gain here. There is no immediate relief, though, from the United Arab Emirates leaving OPEC Plus. I have to say, I don't think the UAE's decision to leave OPEC is primarily about being able to pump more oil. Saudis for influence over the Gulf or wider region. Until this war started, that was the emergent story of the region, and it's unlikely it will reset after the war is over. They still have divergent interests and expansive foreign policy aims. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Especially because there are mechanisms already in place where you can just cheat and produce more oil if you want to. Okay? Like, it's incredibly stupid, I think. From the UAE's perspective, this is an unbelievably stupid move because it's going to piss off Saudi Arabia. And guess what's going to happen eventually? Saudi Arabia is going to invade the United Arab Emirates. Okay? It's so stupid. I feel like every decision that the United States of America has made so far in this war is basically to nuke the Gulf. Okay? To render it unusable, unsalvageable, just destroy it entirely. Who gives a... So this is good for average Americans? Doesn't OPEC limit oil production to increase profits? Brother, what do you think is the actual... Okay, what do you think currently is the real problem as far as global oil prices? Do you think it's because the United Arab Emirates is simply not producing enough oil? Or do you think there's another far more consequential problem happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now? Why do we monitor the situation every day, chatter? The Strait of Hormuz is closed. It doesn't matter if the UAE is no longer a part of OPEC or OPEC Plus. Okay? It is totally irrelevant to the current problem. Okay? The UAE is backing the American horse here, thinking that America will respond in kind, thinking that America will turn the UAE into the Arab version of Israel, right? The Muslim Israel. It's not going to happen. It's an unbelievably stupid decision, in my opinion, because we already know how little America cares about the United Arab Emirates or about any of the other Gulf countries. We have watched these Gulf countries turn the American bases they have into missile sponges and then craters. Okay? That's how little they give a shit about Abu Dhabi. That's how little they give a shit about all of the Emirates, united or not. Okay? So for these dipshits to turn around and be like, oh, well, if we lean even further into America, perhaps they will protect us, is an unbelievably stupid decision to make when all of the evidence so far has shown that they do not give a fuck about you, dog. It's crazy.
Why would they do something so destructive to OPEC and in such a fashion like today?
I don't think they see it, Richard, as destructive. I spoke to one senior advisor to the UAE in the last 2 hours. He said, let's describe it as strategic.
They really don't have a choice, though? Wait, what? Yes, they do. What the f*** are you talking about? Leaning into pre-existing commitments is actually, like, leaning into pre-existing regional commitments is probably a much smarter long-term solution for stability than leaning into the guys that have caused this current iteration of the conflict. It's an incredibly dumb decision. Anyway,
autonomy, the ability to make its own decisions going forward. This has been in the kind of the rumor mill for the last 3 or 4 years, and the UAE was actually considering making this decision beforehand. For those of us who like to read the smoke signals, and I just came back from the region this morning. I was in the UAE and Riyadh for the last week. I heard hints of a realignment by the UAE, and I would kind of lean in and suggest this may be the first of other decisions by the UAE going forward. I think the smoke signals were the fact that there was a GCC summit in Jeddah today. The president of the UAE did not attend. He sent the foreign minister / deputy prime minister to that meeting. So many read a lot into that this decision was happening on the day of the GCC summit. And I think, Richard,
it's not a good development, but UAE is doing what's right in their financial interest. I think it's an unbelievably stupid decision for long-term consequences. I think it's going to have terrible long-term consequences it's going to backfire. That's what I think.
Cuffed in this current situation, as Suhail Mazrui was suggesting in his interview, they've made a lot of contributions, but a lot of sacrifice. And being capped at 3.4 million barrels a day. Just think about this number here. At 3.3 million.
I'm telling you right now, I think Saudi Arabia, the moment that they get a chance to do this, I think Saudi Arabia is just going to invade. And if you think I'm crazy about this, buddy, they literally almost invaded Qatar, okay? And they were supposed to do that alongside the United Arab Emirates, ironically enough, but they're crazy. Saudi Arabia's gonna be like, okay, we're annexing the United Arab Emirates. Really united now.
Barrels a day at $90 a barrel. They make a lot less than they would at 5 million barrels a day. In fact, it's a 50 billion.
Fuck's the UAE gonna do, bro? Hire more Colombian mercenaries? Flip their phone extra hard for aura farming videos?
$1 difference between 3.3 and 5 million barrels.
Saudi pop is 30 million. They're flat as the U.S. would destroy them. What? You think the United States would stop that from happening? They'd be like, if you give us a more favorable deal on oil contracts, you could do whatever the fuck you want. Use them like a fleshlight.
That's the bottom line.
Okay, two things though, John. Firstly, I agree. The UAE has spent a great deal of...
By the way, this 100% is, of course, maximally beneficial for Israel, OPEC first, and the Arab League and the GCC. This is unbelievably beneficial to Israel. This is exactly what Israel wanted, just so you understand. A weaker Gulf is beneficial for Israel, is easier to manipulate, is easier to control. And I mean, a big part of the reason why the UAE is so excited at the prospect of like ripping apart OPEC and leaning into America and Israel is, is so that, hold on. God damn it. Will you please play the Emirati phone flip again? No. It's terrifying. The UAE wouldn't have needed assistance from Israel and Netanyahu at a critical moment if Israel didn't drag the entire region into war with Iran. The lesson they should be learning from all this is that Israel is and has always been the biggest liability in the Middle East. Yeah. And what I cannot understand for the life of me is how they don't recognize that Israel started this conflict. Right? And didn't do anything to defend the UAE. It's not like they started the conflict and they just sat idly by as your investments turn into dust. And you're like, yeah, these are the reliable partners, I think. You're never going to be Israel, little bro. You're too brown, okay? You're too Arab. You're too Muslim. These guys are never going to be like, okay, you're the new Israel now. It's just not going to happen. It's so stupid. And there's no better example that you will never be Israel than the treatment that you've gotten thus far. Mike Huckabee's out here being like the Greater Israel Project is the most important thing, is the most consequential thing. You don't have the same runway. You don't have the zealots. You don't have the evangelical Zionists. And they're unbelievable in defense of your interests. Like, it's just not going to happen. There's no equivalence here.
Money on its infrastructure, and it's invested hugely and wants to get a return. But its cost of production is relatively low overall. Getting that money back, isn't this about getting market share at the cost of other OPEC members by doing this? But the risk, of course, is that if not a price collapse, you certainly have a downward pressure because of your pumping more.
Well, actually, I think this fits into a very interesting discussion about how long oil demand will stay high. Before this conflict that we saw in the Strait of Hormuz, demand was projected at 104 million barrels a day. I think this fits into the category of make hay while the sun is shining, Richard. The UAE sits on about 9% of proven reserves. They see demand holding up for at least till 2040, about 100 million barrels a day. But you see some projections that demand will drop to 80 million barrels a day by 2050. So they're saying, let's front load it right now, have the freedom to do so. And also, Richard, under the CEO, the group CEO of ADNOC, Dr. Sultan Al Jaber, taking instructions from the president of the UAE, they wanted to invest billions of dollars, not only in raw crude and having a trading division, but...
Scoop, Israel sent Iron Dome system and troops to UAE during war. Yeah, that really worked out. It's fucking awesome how well that worked out. Unbelievable shit, dude. Plus, who wins OPEC nations at UAE? That ain't going to go well, pissing off the only people who were your allies in the region at the time when America would happily bomb them for a clip montage. I know. America did functionally bomb them for a clip montage. And the reason why I say that is because America used their soil to bomb Iran, effectively turning their soil into territory that is a territory that's inevitably going to receive blowback from Iran.
To go downstream into petrochemicals where there's higher margins. So they don't want to be constrained by OPEC or OPEC Plus for that matter.
Right, but ultimately, John, I mean, that's a very interesting point you raise about front loading. It's, as you say, make hay while the sun shines now. But the US becoming essentially the swing producer because it's so vast in its energy. And you are essentially going to end up with internet.
I watch this guy all the time now, dude. Glenn Deason. He is the guy that all of my goats love going on the show of. Like, Mersheimer's on his show literally all the time, like once a week, if not twice a week. Same with Jeffrey Sachs, and now Richard Wolff as well. This is what you know how you guys ask me, like, what do you do when you're not live? Like, this is what I'm such a fucking loser, man. I realize how much of a goddamn loser I am when I openly say these things. But yeah, this is what I'm fucking doing when I'm not live. I'm watching this guy interview my goats, thinking why my goats aren't coming on my stream instead. Oh, the other one is, Judge Neapolitano. Yes. What is it, like the Freedom Report or something? They love going on Hog Napolitano's show. That is like the number one spot for all of the geopolitical commentary. Hang out with friends more, dude. Yeah, Judging Freedom. Thank you. That's the show. Yeah, Michael Hudson was on recently on Glenn Deason or whatever his name is, his show. Your news autism is unparalleled. Put me down. No, you're going to get shook. Here's a shaking for you. You deserve the shake. Anyway, let's keep going.
And warfare within the oil-producing countries of the Gulf. And everything that OPEC was originally designed to create is going to fall apart.
Well, you raise a very interesting point. There have been strains within OPEC ever since the shale revolution taking place. So you see the U.S.
A double spike day. I don't believe in my 20 years I've ever seen this. 479, then updated 499. Unprecedented. What's even more wild, that the market has completely gone insane, is that all three markets are the same. Is this good? Is this good, guys? For years, I have lived in awe of the... Oh, yeah. Napolitano's hairline is unbelievable. He is a fucking one head, dude. My man has a preceding hairline. Yeah. Not a receding hairline, a proceeding hairline. It's incredible. He's so awesome. He looks like he would be cast in Casino. I'm watching Casino right now.
Being the number one producer in the world, last month it was producing 13.5 million barrels a day. That's above Russia. It's above Saudi Arabia.
3 days in, no well exploded. We could extend to 30 and live stream the well here. That was the kind of junk advice the U.S. admin gets from people like Scott Bessent, who also pushed the blockade theory and cranked up oil to $120. Next up, $140. The issue isn't the theory, it's the mindset. Galabaf is probably one of the best posters. I never thought in my life where I would be tuning in alongside millions of Americans to the Speaker of the Islamic Republic of Iran's parliament to hear what kind of funny takes he has about the ongoing war effort. Incredible poster. Whoever is on his team, they're doing it. They're doing the damn thing.
Number two, number three in the world. That has profoundly changed the dynamics within OPEC right now. Right. And I know that the UAE position has been, Richard, why are we sacrificing when the U.S. is getting more market share? You talked about the low-cost producer. Onshore, we're looking at about $2 a barrel in the UAE. It's a low-carbon producer as well in terms of carbon capture and being efficient in that way, and $4 offshore. So I think their view is, why don't we have that independence right now?
Yeah. It's great. Thank you. You're so right. Famously, when you're a part of a cartel, you don't get the maximum benefits. It's actually much better when you align yourself with a competitive oil giant like the United States of America. This is going to be really good for the United Arab Emirates. There is no upside here in the long term for the UAE. Of course, the American guy is going to be like, this is great. This is fantastic. They've been cheating us for years and years with this OPEC bullshit. They're a fucking cartel.
Also, one other point here is they're not really happy at the pace the GCC is moving right now. They have a very different strategy, Richard, and that is, for example, on free trade. The UAE has signed 36 trade partnerships because the GCC hasn't moved fast enough. So I think both with the GCC and the Arab League, we should start thinking differently of how the UAE sees that relationship and sees its future. That's some of the discussions I've had over the last 7 days.
Great. John, good to see you, sir. Thank you very much.
So joining me now is Faisal Abbas. He's the editor-in-chief of Arab News. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure to be with you, Audie. Thank you.
So I think most of us hear about OPEC because it has such a say in the global supply. What does it mean when a country leaves? What can they take advantage of as a result? And does it actually affect the supply for the rest of us?
Well, look, to start with, it is, the United Arab Emirates is a sovereign state. It is absolutely their decision. To broadly define what OPEC does, it's a coalition of the willing, if you want.
The UAE only gets the benefit if everyone else remains in OPEC and abides by their pumping limits. As long as that happens, they get to sell more oil at higher prices. But if more people start to leave OPEC or they increase allowed pumping, it's worse for all of them. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that you decide when that's kind of a decision that you make in the in-group. I mean, we're now doing game theory. Professor Jiang, you are absolutely in a more beneficial position if you stay within the cartel. I mean, I don't personally give a shit whether the OPEC remains, like whether OPEC plus remains intact or not. I don't personally fucking care. I'm just thinking about this from the perspective of like the Emirati sovereignty and like what their best interest would look like. And I don't think it is a prisoner's dilemma. I don't think it's an intelligent decision in the short term or even in the long term.
Countries coming together to try and stabilize energy markets. That is the core purpose of OPEC. This is why there are regulations in place. There are production caps. Sometimes they increase production. Sometimes they lower productions.
Brent crude at 120. We are so fucking cooked. We will. It's going to go up even higher, just so you know.
And the main aim is to stabilize the energy markets. As for the UAE deciding to leave, as I said earlier, it is their...
What's the difference between a cartel and a union? One is a cartel is the business owners getting together and doing that. Union is the workers.
Sovereign right. There has been precedent.
But yes, a cartel is basically when business owners unify. You're scum. Business owners unite. You're scum. Okay. Why am I scum? These guys never have a fucking... They never have a good comeback where they'll just be like, because you're a terrorist, I think. I don't know. There she goes. U.S. commercial petroleum inventories fell by a headline 17 million barrels plus another 7.1 million barrels of SPR crude draws. Vindicated Jeffrey Sachs L. No, Jeffrey Sachs will say this is a market correction.
Of other countries leaving OPEC, including countries from the GCC. But, as I'm coming to you today from London, where I happen to be visiting, it's the equivalent of the United Kingdom deciding to leave.
This is entering the zone that Jeffrey Sachs was talking about. The situation is untenable at $120 a barrel, so hot war has to be back on the menu. Or the alternative, which is, retreating. Because we are forgetting that there is an alternative here. I know it sounds unbelievable, but the alternative is just pulling out. And I think, given the attitude and given the way that Donald Trump, behaves in a taco-like manner, as we call, Trump always chickens out, I could totally see Donald Trump just being like, all right, war is done. We won. Pull out and leave the Strait of Hormuz and just make it seem like there was a deal in place, but there's no real fucking deal in place. and they just let Iran control the Strait of Hormuz and create, bilateral cooperative agreements with all the regional actors, with the European partners and whatnot. And it's not like Israel is going to continue fucking waging war with Iran directly, but Israel will probably still attack the proxies. And then balls in Iran's court, do you go back to, pummeling Israel? Now, from Israel's calculation, they can't really wage war if there is a Iranian retaliation in mind when America is not there to defend Israel. So this could force Israel into restraint somehow, but I don't know. But I can totally see it. I can totally see Donald Trump just saying, all right, fuck it. We won, and pull out. No more blockage on the strait. No more American Navy blockage or blockade on the strait. We won. It was awesome. We did regime change, whatever. And then they just fucking pull out, putting Iran in a unique predicament where they are in limbo. They can't get the sanctions relief that they wanted. They have leverage over the Strait of Hormuz, but they don't want to piss off the rest of the world, right? And I think America just says, yeah, we won. It was a big W, actually. And then all the fucking dumbest people in American society turn around and tell you, yeah, we did it. And then the Democrats say, no, we have to wage war with Iran now. Democrats take a fucking pro-Iran war posture because they just don't know how to talk about this issue at all. Rick Scott seen at Mar-a-Lago on his way to beg Trump to jail Hasan. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Okay, thank God. You were memeing. Jesus Christ. I thought you were being serious. Because if Rick Scott is going to Mar-a-Lago, Trump is going to tweet that I need to be killed or something, just so you know.
Some of this rhetoric mainstream to fringe elements now that have now gone mainstream within the left. What would you say about the way we're hearing rhetoric and conversation in politics?
Will Cain, who has talked about me every single day, even asks a question to the vice president about me without mentioning my name, luckily. Thank God. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. What a fucking stupid country this is.
Well, I think you said it well, Will. I can't improve upon it, which is that political violence right now is coming not exclusively, but largely from one side of the aisle. The president has now faced 3 serious attempts on his life in just the past year and a half. Of course, Butler, Pennsylvania. There was a situation at Mar-a-Lago that the media didn't really cover.
I know he mentioned Kaya. He mentioned Kaya Gate. Now, Trump says Ukraine and Iran wars are maybe on a similar timetable. Oh, no. Oh, no. That means it's forever. That means it's totally forever.
But which war do you think ends first?
That's an interesting question. Coming from you, that's very interesting. Which war would end first? I don't know. Maybe they're on a similar timetable. I think Ukraine, militarily, they're defeated, okay? You wouldn't know that by reading the fake news, but militarily, look, their Navy. So they had 159 ships. Every ship is right now underwater. Typically, that's pretty good. What do you think, Jared? I mean, it's going to be hard for them to make a naval comeback. Okay, now they have an Air Force. Every one of their planes has been shot down or has been decimated. They have missiles. About 82% are gone. And they have drones, and most of them are gone. Most of the factories are mostly gone. And we have tremendous anti-drone equipment now, between lasers and that new, very special machine gun that knocks them out of the air like flies. And we use bullets instead of $1 million, missiles to knock out a $30,000 drone. So I would say Jared would tell me that with everything you just heard, typically we're in pretty good shape. And in addition, their economy is crashing. Their, as you know, their money, they call it their money. They don't have a name for it. Their money is valueless. They've got inflation that nobody's ever seen before. Other than that, I think they're doing quite well. If you read the New York Times, you'd say they're doing wonderfully because it's fake news. Or if you watch CNN, I mean, you cover it all the time. You think they're doing well. Do you think they're doing well where they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-aircraft apparatus, other than what they may have put there? They may have brought in some light stuff during the ceasefire, and we know exactly where it is, so it'll be knocked out within the first 15 minutes.
Imagine going to space, opt for a pedophile. Yeah, it's not the greatest, not the finest moment of our big, beautiful astronauts. I'm gonna be honest. Looks like the Gerald Ford CSG will be leaving the Red Sea in a few days. 2 CSG's carrier strike groups remain in CENTCOM's AOR. U.S. aircraft carrier to leave Mideast, reducing military might amid Iran war. Okay, yeah, no, I think it's the funniest possible option might happen, which is they just pull out. They just fuck off. We're just going to fuck off and be like, yep, we won. Trump flags massaging their Axios towel boy for the next Iran deal is near drop. Hasan, we won. It's over. It's over. It's over. We won. We won. We won so good. There's no way that we can hold on at oil barrel prices getting up to $140. It's just not happening. Do you understand? It's not fucking happening.
Europe, it's completely within their rights, and they must have done their own calculations and costs and benefits.
But I want to know the context of this. We have the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed with this blockade on both sides. We have Saudi-UAE tensions, right, in the regions. Maybe they've always wanted to leave. And then just this morning, pretty much while you and I are talking, Donald Trump puts out this tweet. And it's an image of him, and it says, "No more Mr. Nice Guy." The image is doctored with him with a weapon in his hand. He says Iran can't get its act together and that they don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. They better get smart soon. This does not say to me that talks will resume soon, the Strait of Hormuz will open again, and oil will flow.
Well, I mean, allow me to unpack that. There's a lot there. First of all, you're rightly pointing out that some people might be reading that there is possibly geopolitical tensions behind the decision of the UAE leaving.
I just want to say that, we used to refer to American presidents as the leader of the free world. Okay? Just remember that, because that's going to be something that you tell your children one day, if you even have the opportunity, if you can even pay for the process. And they will look at you and go, "What the fuck are you saying, mom or dad or non-binary parental representative?" I don't know how that would work. There's no way that's true. This is who we are now. A slop nation. Except they'll say it like this, okay? They'll say it like this. Hold on.
妈，你在说什么？妈，你在说什么？
Okay. They'll say this as well.
你是想告诉我，这个世界是由美国主宰的？
You mean to tell me the world was run by America? Question mark. It's like your old uncle discovering you can say good morning with images instead of just text. Okay, calm down. Okay, I just wanted to do a fucking meme.
As I said earlier, it's purely a mathematical economic decision, and unsurprising given the post-war economy many Gulf countries now have to face. In fact, President Trump just a few days ago is on the record saying that the U.S. is considering offering the UAE financial support. There's been talks about currency swap between the Emirati dirham and the U.S. dollar. This is not surprising that the UAE wants now to make...
This is what the Roman consuls used to do when they were losing a war. Pack up, go back to Rome, declare victory. Still, even if there are no immediate consequences, eventually Hannibal crosses the Alps, and then you're screwed. Yeah, except they used to be able to get away with that when information didn't travel in real time, okay? So that's a thing that you can't do any longer, because guess what? It's not going to spread through horseback and through the town criers. Information is spreading in real time on the internet. So when you come back and you say, "Oh yeah, we fucking totally won," like that, by the way, the speed in which information transmits is part of the reason why empires also come and go at a faster pace. I'm not even joking when I say this. This is a big part of the reason why we will most likely never see another empire that had prominence and dominated for as long as the Roman Empire did. Even the death of the Roman Empire came through multiple centuries. The death of the American empire will happen in a decade. I'm not saying it'll happen in this decade. I'm just saying, like, we might be in it already. I think we are in it already. But that process will not take centuries. That process will not even take 1 century. When information travels faster, people figure it out way faster as well.
Decisions to help reshape. Two factors are at play here. One, as you've alluded and we've seen in the clip earlier, there's been a shortage or a limitation of the ability of Gulf countries to export oil. The UAE produces around 5 million barrels a day. That's a lot to be held, to be constrained or to be held. The other fact is, like all Gulf countries, there has been a decision that no cost or effort should be spared in protecting citizens.
So you don't think the America will be dominating in 10 years? I don't know, man. The EU won't allow that to happen. The EU has no motion. Okay? And the EU has no motion because of us anyway. Like, what are we talking about? We are the reason for the European Union being destroyed, being powerless.
And that meant, a decision to fire $4 million Patriot missile or $2 million Tomahawk missiles to bring down $20,000 Iranian drones every time they were fired, because the priority was to protect citizens and residents, not to mention the impact on tourism, on business. So it's only natural for countries to take corrective measures or take measures that it is in their best interest to help rebuild their economy in such circumstances.
Well, we'll see what that means for the cartel and therefore for global production. Thank you for this context, Faisal. Thanks so much.
Start with the 2024 autopsy, which you call an...
Okay, this is I'm going to issue a trigger warning. You're going to watch someone get on camera right now. This is head of the DNC, Ken Martin, on Pod Save America, where Jon Favreau is asking the appropriate questions, as a matter of fact, and he doesn't let up. It's ridiculous. This interview is ridiculous.
After action review, when you won the chairmanship in February of 25, you criticized the DNC's refusal to release their 2016 autopsy as exactly what not to do. You said, quote, "Was there any utility in doing that?" And then promised your 2024 autopsy would be different. Your exact quote was, "Of course it will be released." Why did you change your mind on that?
Well, look, I mean, what I said all along, even when I ran for this position, is that we were going to focus on the things that will help us win the upcoming election, right? Making sure that we learn the right lessons that could help inform our victories. And that's what we've done. We said this when we sent out the press release back in November, saying we weren't going to release the report. We were going to actually keep our focus on those lessons, and we released those lessons. We continue to do that. So it's not completely accurate to say that we didn't release that.
Dude, it is so bad. This is so bad that I think it's like low-key indefensible by even like centrist accounts. Obviously, there's still like weird-ass DNC defenders on the timeline doing their thing, where they turn around and defend the interests of the DNC, even though they're not paid to do so. And I will never understand what leads someone to behave like that. But for the most part, with the exception of like some of the craziest people, most people are looking at this and going, "What the do you mean you can't release the autopsy? Just release it, man." It doesn't make any. I mean, the only way this makes sense is because they're worried that the autopsy says exactly what I've been saying leading up to the election and certainly after the election. Israel's a huge part of the reason why they lost.
We're keeping our focus is on the lessons that can actually help us win.
On this show in August, you told me this about releasing the review, quote, "We have to do it to give people who invested so much time, energy, and money a sense of what happened and why we lost." Especially why we lost. So what changed between August and December? I understand there are lessons, but those are not the full report. Why not release the full report? What's in the report that you wouldn't want to publicize?
Yeah, there's no smoking gun in the report, and I know that's what everyone's so eager to learn. I mean, the smoking gun. Guess what, John?
But if there's no smoking gun, why wouldn't you just release it then?
Because we want to keep the focus on the lessons. Because what ends up happening here is that
it's boring. We just don't want you to fall asleep reading it. You'd be so bored reading the lack of smoking gun. What is this? Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah. We watched it live. Yeah. It was incredible. Trump, he still got it sometimes.
People, of course, want to weaponize the report in a way to look backwards, to point fingers, place blame in a way that actually doesn't keep us focused on the upcoming election. But instead, the navel gazing of focusing backwards actually takes us backwards. We're 100th election, John. What we don't need to be focused on is actually relitigating 2024. What we need to do is learn the lessons of 24 and the years preceding that can help us win this upcoming election. I get why people are obsessed with it, because there's various groups and organizations and people who think there's some sort of smoking gun in there. Guess what, John? In the third closest presidential election in the last 100 years, everything mattered. There's nothing that didn't impact that election.
Why did you spend the money going to 50 states, doing all these interviews, doing all this stuff, and
He's like, everything mattered, not one thing. There wasn't one particular thing. John, believe me, it was everything. It was tort reform. There's no smoking gun. There's no one singular issue that was overwhelmingly brought up as a reason.
Doing this report in the first place, if you weren't going to release the full results of it. Like, why? I don't get why just you and some of the senior DNC people get to see it, but not most of the DNC members who are, state party chairs. I mean, more than a dozen DNC members told NBC just the other week they want it released, including Congresswoman Delia Ramirez and North Carolina Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton. And Anderson said, quote, "Genuinely, what did you all find that we did not?"
Seems to me that...
Wait, where's the full one? But what happened while I was gone for a week? Why did I have Customs and Border Patrol ask me if I watch you when I returned to this shithole country this morning and got detained? Shut the fuck up. You're lying. What? There's no way that you got asked. No, not the full Erica Kirk video, guys. I'm looking for the full DNC combo. Chatters, I don't care about the full Erica Kirk video. I've been detained before, but never that. How the would they know that you are...
Ken Martin, thanks for doing it.
How would they know that you're a fan of mine?
The obsession on the report without actually focusing in on the lesson and people who were involved in it were not paid. Did not spend $100,000 on it. We didn't spend. No, we did not.
It was a free report.
We did not spend a couple $100,000 on that. The person and people who were involved in it were not paid to do this work. And so I would just say that's inaccurate, John. So I appreciate. I'm not sure where you would even get that.
They did. I post a lot, but still. Okay, you've been detained before. Part of the story makes a little bit more sense now that you said you've been detained in the past. It makes a little bit more sense. I don't think you got detained for being a HasanAbi head. I mean, it's still ridiculous that you got detained. Petition to call Twitch timeouts detaining chatters. It is still strange that they would ask you about your content consumption and whether you're a fan of mine. But if you've been detained in the past, it's probably because of your social media posts, which is still unacceptable. But probably not because of you're a fan. You can spell the bullshit. Ken Martin is essentially a parody of what everyone hates about politicians. His performance should be a fireable offense. The call to release the autopsy should be more urgent now. Holy shit, we are so horrible and embarrassing. Thank you, John, for pressing him on this.
Number. And so, did you have some sort of record that shows we spent any money on that?
I've seen reporting that you did spend money on it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well that's inaccurate. Okay, the person we asked to do this is an unpaid advisor to the DNC. And so I appreciate where it's coming from, John, but let's just trade in facts on this, right? The reality is we did talk to, hundreds of people. It was an exhaustive exercise to really get at what are those key lessons. And I want to be very clear. There's nothing that changed from what I said on the campaign trail to now, which is
except for the fact that you said you were going to release the autopsy and that it would be a mistake not to release the autopsy, and that it would be stupid not to release the autopsy. And now you're saying, no, it's stupid to release the autopsy. So something did change. You made the autopsy, you saw what's in it, and you were like, we can't let anybody know what's in this thing.
When you were on the campaign trail and you talked about definitely releasing an autopsy and criticized the DNC for not releasing an autopsy in 2016, in your mind, you thought, I'm going to do one, but only release certain lessons and not the full report?
No, what I said at the time is exactly what I've been saying now, which is we have to focus on the things that help us win the future elections. We have to focus on those lessons. We have to do this exercise, by the way.
Yeah. The lessons are we got to pivot to the center more, by the way. I just wanted to tell you guys, like, here are some of our lessons. Pivot to the center harder than we ever have. Okay. And also reinstate our unlimited loyalty and support to the nation state of Israel. That's what the autopsy showed. We got punished for not being pro-Israel enough, it seems.
Of conducting this, actually learn what happened, not just in 24, but in the years preceding that, John. And so that's where our focus is. I mean, the challenge is, think about this as an executive summary of a, like you said, a 200-page document. And I think what we've put together and what we learn, we are sharing with people so they have full insight into what we actually need to course correct on as we go into these final 189 days left and into the future. So again,
are you going to release? You mentioned an executive summary. Are you going to release an official executive summary? Make that public.
We've been releasing that, John. That's what I've been saying to you.
Well, you said lesson. There's the Democratic playbook, the playbook that you said you can sign up for in DNC for sure. But I know that NBC News said that before Easter, about a month ago, you told DNC officers on a call to expect an executive summary in short order. Officers on that call told NBC they still haven't received one. You told a North Carolina DNC member who was drafting a resolution to force the report's release that a summary was forthcoming, and he backed off based on that promise. So you've been saying in coming weeks on the executive, like when can people expect an accurate
we've already been
summary?
Sharing that with a number of folks, and we'll continue to share it with folks, including the DNC and other people. The reality is we're not hiding the ball on this. We have been sharing those things out. Happy to get you over, what we have been sharing out, John. The reality is that there's no smoking gun here. And as much as people would like to keep focusing in on those pieces, what they're ignoring is that we're sharing out the lessons. We have been incorporating those, and we have actually been putting those lessons into action, which I'm most proud of. Look, we're 189 days away from this election. You said on the top end of this that what you care most about is helping us to win elections. Okay, let's focus on the elections coming up, John. You know what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to focus on winning them. I feel like an autopsy on what went wrong and when we lost the popular vote in all those states in 2024, and figuring out what went wrong based on a big report is pretty important for everyone to know.
Yeah. I've spent my entire career, John, as you know, since 1990, winning elections up and down the ballot, both in Minnesota and across the country.
I appreciate that.
And I'm happy to talk to you about winning elections. If you want to actually talk about elections, I'm happy to talk to you about those. But again, you're proving the point that I think many folks are frustrated in this party, which is people want to turn backwards to relitigate the 2024 election, to point fingers, to place blame, to
I think you want to learn lessons, like you said.
Well, listen, to win elections, if they want to win elections, I'm happy to share what we learn in the way of the lessons on why we lost the 24 election and the years preceding that. Happy to share those. We're sharing those out with everyone. But again, this conversation doesn't help us actually win elections. All it does is continue to turn people inward. What we need to do is focus on the work we need to do in the 189 days. Learn the lessons. And I'm happy to go over what those lessons are. I'm happy to go over them with anyone who wants to talk about them, John. But what I'm not going to do is release a report that turns everyone backwards, trying to either...
I cannot believe he goes on for 30 minutes about how we're controlling the flow of information that's coming out of the autopsy because there's a lot of information in there that we don't want to fucking admit. This is abysmal. We're not moving like a party that wants to win. We're to see folks criticizing Pod Save America's continued attention to the DNC autopsy by saying we should just focus on winning. Getting the best possible understanding of why Democrats lost a winnable election is focusing on winning. Matt, I disagree. The party hiding its head in the sand for most of 2024 turned out great for us. Yeah. This is why I always laugh whenever people on Twitter will be like, the unpaid free DNC boosters on Twitter will be like, Hasan is not a real Democrat. It's like, bitch, I am far closer. Like the average lifelong Democratic Party loyalist voter is far closer to me than at any other point in American history in terms of the anger and resentment that they feel towards the ineptitude demonstrated by the party. Okay? Because those people actually fucking hate the Republicans. Those people unironically want to defeat fascism. Okay? These stupid ass influencers that want to behave like they're getting paid by the DNC do not.
Point fingers or place blame and actually ignore their own responsibility in helping us to fix the situation. The reality is we all have a responsibility. Yourself, myself, everyone, in actually learning those lessons, focusing on the upcoming election.
John should have just gone through the checklist of like things that were, give me a yes or no. Israel was 25% of the blame. You know what I mean? Like, and we could judge his reaction.
Putting them into action so we don't repeat those same mistakes. That's what we've been focused on, John.
So Steve Shale, longtime Democratic strategist who's run Florida for the party, told the Washington Examiner that there's a, quote, financial penalty specifically tied to burying the autopsy because donors want a clearer accounting before recommitting. The DNC...
Oh, that's the other thing. Oh, there's only one language that these guys understand. It's money. And the DNC is actually fucking doing so poorly on their fundraising goals. When you're the opposition party, you're supposed to be running, you're supposed to be running up numbers, filling the coffers. And people just don't want to give money to the DNC.
Is entering April with negative net cash on hand. So even on your own, standard of does this help us win, is it possible that the autopsy decision is actually costing you the money you need to win?
That's just inaccurate, John. And I'm sure you follow the campaign finance reports like I do. We raised $105 million in 2025, a record amount of money for the first year.
You're not have negative cash on hand right now. You don't have debt that's made a negative cash on hand.
But we do have debt, John, and that's because I took out a loan last year to make sure we can make deep investments. You know what we've been doing, John? We've raised a record amount of.
Oh my God, they're so incompetent. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're so fucking unbelievably incompetent, bro. Oh my God, they're running up the fucking tab to do what? What do you have to show for it, dude? I didn't even think about this. Like the DNC taking out loans to do what exactly? What has been solid so far with the performance of the Democratic Party, the National Democratic Party? Brother, my congressional district really needs you. We have a Zoran adjacent politician named Jamie Belcito, who's currently running behind a Pete Buttigieg-backed establishment candidate. But we could really use someone like you in the community to bolster the campaign. Is there anything we can do? I mean, I'll look at the candidate. What happened to all the fucking money we gave to Kamala Harris? Dude, they burned through that. They melted that shit. That shit's gone. It's just, look at John's face. Dude, imagine melting $1 billion on fire and still losing, and not only losing, but like losing the popular vote. And then these guys still have the audacity to fucking complain about like people in their left flank or something. How much of the Harris campaign was a scam? Campaign squandered a whole lot of money and made plenty of people rich. Parts of the Democratic operation seem like a multi-level marketing scheme. It's a slush fund for the homies, by the way. That's what it is. The consulting fees are incredible. Like, in some ways, I understand why there's so many fucking consultants that yell at me. Because, like, they have it pretty sweet. As long as they keep the Democratic Party's strategy intact, they can keep reliably justifying $200,000, all this money, forcing the money to funnel through like ad buys and things like that. You develop decent relationships that way. It's all a fucking scam. And then along the way, someone comes in and has no way to control this person, me, right? I come in and I'm like, no, I don't fuck with this candidate. I like this candidate instead. And now I'm demanding that those candidates are not corporate sponsored. They're not corporate stooges all of a sudden. And on top of that, like they're not using me as like a consultant, obviously. They still have their own consultants. They still have their campaign advisors and staffers and whatnot. But it's a very different type of staffer. All of a sudden, a lot of these consultants lose their motion, lose their grip of power within the party ecosystem. And that means they might not be able to get these incredible salaries. So yeah, I'm fucking up the bag for a lot of people.
Money, $105 million. It's the most raised for the first year chair of any DNC chair in the history of this party. And you know what's great? You know what's great about it? We raised in 2017, which is an analogous year, a year right after a presidential loss. Tom Perez raised $40 million less than what we raised this year.
Right, he didn't have the debt that you guys have.
Yes, he did. He had $76 million in debt. And so my point to you is this, John, okay? I mean, we can trade in all of this, but let's actually trade in facts. $105 million was raised. $85 million of it came from grassroots donors, which is a record amount of grassroots donations raised in the history of the Democratic Party. That shows the energy that's out there. The average contribution is $51, by the way, John. And, you know, we raised more than any of the other committees last year. The DS, the DCCC, and I will just tell you this, all of the Republican committees raised more than the DNC. And so that's just a reality of coming out of a year when you lose the presidential election, when you're the party that's out of power. Of course, you're going to not raise as much money as the Republicans. But to suggest that we're not raising money is inaccurate. We raised $32 million. We raised $32 million in the first quarter. But what we're doing that's a little different, John, is we're spending it. We're raising it and we're spending it. Because one of the lessons we learned...
I can't... Okay, listen. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the way he communicates that's so unbelievably annoying. I don't know why. It just comes across as so insincere. I don't know if it's the accent. I don't know if it's like, well, you see, John, like he keeps making it seem like he's agreeing with Jon Favreau, only to vehemently disagree with him, but never changing his tone at all. Yeah, we want to win, which is why we are not going to give you the lessons. We're only going to show you what we want to show you. We want to win, which is precisely the reason why you're never going to find out exactly what caused us to lose. Yes, we want to win. We want to win a lot. Yes, you're right. We've wasted tens of millions of dollars, John, but you might consider that to be a waste, but I personally consider that to be money well spent, John.
But you're spending more than you have. I mean, so you guys have 13.9 million cash on hand, right? I'm reading the report. 13.9 million cash on hand, 18.3 million in debt. So that's roughly negative $4.4 million. And I know it's a tough environment for the party out of power, but the DSCC and the DCCC and these Senate candidates have plenty of money. They're all doing great. So it seems like this is an issue unique to the DNC.
That's not accurate, John. Listen,
what part is not accurate?
The reality is we're spending money as we raise it to win elections and to build infrastructure. We have invested significant amounts of money, record investments in Virginia and New Jersey, investments in Mississippi in their state legislative races to help them flip the state's the Republican supermajority in their state legislature, investments in the Miami mayoral race to help us win a Democratic elected mayor in the first time in 30 years, investments in the PSC races in Georgia to help us win the first two non-federal elected races, statewide races in 20 years in their history. You know, investments throughout the country.
The Republican National Committee entered April with $117 million on hand. The Democratic National Committee entered April with negative $4.4 million on hand, inclusive of debts. Clown show, dude. There have been significant flips. I know this because all of my haters who are free DNC advertisers love talking about, like, I don't know, the fucking constable in Georgia 17 or whatever used to be a Republican for 78 years and now it's a Democrat. Like, they love doing that shit. They're like, oh, duh, what do you mean? Oh, anytime someone wins like a super low level local election, I hear about it in my replies because people are like, oh, I'm sorry. Why aren't you bringing up the fact that the comptroller in Terre Haute, Indiana is a blue dog Democrat, actually? Why is this not motivating you? Oh, did he come on your stream? Did he come on your broadcast, the win comptroller in Terre Haute, Indiana? No, I didn't think so. It's like, well, I'm glad that this is like, I'm glad that the enmity towards the Republican Fascist Party has translated to some electoral victories, but, like, you know, everyone is trying to fucking do their best here. It's so funny. Like, they do what Ken is doing here. Okay, straight up, Terre Haute doesn't have a comptroller. Fake news, Haas. Okay, I'm making shit up. I'm making names up. Terre Haute, Indiana doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination, okay? It's a city most famous for having a prison in it, right? Isn't that what Terre Haute is? Terre Haute? I know, Haute, not hot.
Up and down the ballot, and investments in infrastructure, including the largest investments ever in a 50-state party strategy, where we're making the biggest investments in building out the infrastructure of our state and local party committees. You know, one of the lessons we learned, by the way, John, from the last election is that we waited too long to spend money. In fact, the Republican Party, starting in 2020, right after Biden won that race, the Democratic Party packed up the campaign infrastructure. Trump and the Republicans kept going. They kept spending money. They kept organizing. They kept communicating with voters. We did not. And as a result, they had a 3.5-year-long head start going into the 2024 election. We had 10 million Democrats who actually chose the couch instead of voting in 2024. And part of the reason why is...
Okay, why? How? Why did that happen? If only there was an autopsy that looked at exactly why and how that happened. If only we could have access to this secret information and make up our own damn minds. I mean, this should be a moment of vindication for the DNC if their strategy was so profound and that they just simply didn't go hard enough. They didn't pivot hard enough to the right, right? If the DNC has that information, right? If they didn't go pro-Israel enough, if they weren't like seen as being sufficiently pro-genocide, I feel like they would probably reveal that autopsy result, right? Oh, we looked at the autopsy and we found out that the big problem was the people were demanding more Liz Cheney, okay? The people were demanding more Liz Cheney. People were throwing their bras on stage when Liz Cheney was coming up, okay? They were demanding Dick Cheney. They didn't want just Liz. They wanted Dick and Liz, okay? Turns out that's what they were demanding. That's what the autopsy showed. Cannot show you the autopsy. I really want to, but I can't. But that's what it says. Okay? It says the people were like $50,000 in tax credits for small businesses that start up in underserved neighborhoods. Well, golly, my mother was a small business, just like Kamala Harris's mother was. Wow. If only I could hear more about how Kamala Harris was a fucking small business. That's what I needed to hear more. That's why I didn't vote. Okay? Is that what the autopsy showed? Because if that's the autopsy, if that is what the autopsy showed, you probably would have no issues revealing that, right? You'd probably release it immediately. Be like, see, we told you. We didn't pivot right enough. We didn't go hard enough. Biden being senile and not stepping down combo with supporting Israeli genocide cost the party an election to a flagrantly corrupt neo-Nazi who failed to overthrow the government the first time. They don't believe there's no smoking gun. They just prefer donor money and losing. Yes. There's an institutionally entrenched chunk of this political party that is not interested in wielding power or helping you in any way. They want to take donor money and spend the next couple of decades making excuses for why things never get better, and they need to be purged. Want to know why they lose elections? Israelis buy House and Senate seats. Michael Bloomberg sets money on fire to make it a chore to buy or customize a gun, but only in blue states. They deliberately fall for every obvious bait wedge issue to show how morally superior they are. They don't want to give away free game to the Republicans? Yeah, except the Republicans know exactly why the Democrats lose. That's why they win. Okay? That's why they won, and that's why they continue to win, even though their fucking policies are so unbelievably toxic and so unbelievably backwards that people, and there's been polling on this, people that vote Republican don't believe the impact of the Republican legislative agenda. When asked about certain policies and once implemented, the impact of said policies, they go, no, that's not real. Don't make me read the New York Times report on former Trump supporters. As a matter of fact, I do want to read that one because it's really good. After I'm done with Joyanne Reed's show, I really, really want to go through that because there is some fucking real gems in there. Republicans, like the Republican legislative agenda is so unbelievably villainous, so unbelievably toxic, so cancerous that Republicans that vote Republican do not believe in the agenda and the impact when they are asked about certain policies that they voted for. And we saw an example of this with abortion. For years, they said abortion is murder. For years, they said we have to restrict female bodily autonomy in this country. They didn't use those terms. They just said abortion is murder, and we have to stop this murder from taking place. And we saw exactly what happened in those red states one by one. They rolled back the abortion protections that existed, and then people voted in ballot measures to democratically reinstate female bodily autonomy. Okay? Piece by piece all around the country. So we know this to be true. We knew this to be true when the Democrats were running for president. So why the fuck do you still lose to the Republicans? It's because the Democrats simply don't want to win. Or if they win, they want to win on their own terms. If they lose on their own terms, that's still fine as long as they maintain the terms. Okay? If it meant that they would have to forego unlimited corporate sponsorships from the for-profit healthcare industry by pushing forward unilaterally or universally Medicare for all is the forefront of their campaigning, something that the base is demanding, something that independents want, something that Republicans would benefit from. If they were to do that, then Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield and all these other companies would no longer give them money. God forbid, they might even spend against them. Same with Israel, same with AIPAC. And they can't do that. So they'd rather fucking lose over and over again. And that's, in many respects, what Ken Martin's job is. It is to maintain this position. Look, every so often, frequently, I see a voter articulate the rationale in such a way that makes me want to smash a bottle of whiskey across my head. Yeah, I thought it was helping us get and save more money with taxes. I thought that they would get rid of the taxes so we would get our full paycheck instead of just half of it. We lost to that. Like, that guy is easy to fucking talk to, okay? That lady is easy to talk to. Just tell him you're going to give her health care. That's it, man. That's fucking it. That's it. Oh, God.
Because we weren't communicating with them early and often. What did the Democratic Party decide last year to start doing? We have our local listener program that's already engaging through year-round organizing those voters who dropped off in 2024. You have to spend money to win elections. And one of the lessons we learned is if we wait. Now, look, I know you came up in a certain politics, but the old conventional wisdom, John, it doesn't fly anymore. The old conventional wisdom is that you waited to make investments until the final 3 months of the election because that's when people were paying attention. Well, guess what? That's bullshit. It's shown. We have to start early. We have to build that infrastructure. We have to flex that muscle early of having conversations with voters so that we actually position ourselves to win. Now, are you criticizing me for spending money early? Because that seems to be what the thing is. And guess what?
No, I think it's great that you're spending money early, and I think it's very important to invest in state parties. I think a 50-state strategy is extremely important. But we're talking about two different things. We're talking about spending money and raising money, and you raised $11.4 million in March. The RNC raised double that in March. And so if you're going to spend that much money, obviously you have to also raise the money too, because otherwise the difference between investment and just outrunning your costs and taking on a loan because of that doesn't seem like much of a difference to me.
It's not outrunning our costs, John, because we're able to make these investments all throughout the country.
What are these investments, man? It's kind of funny that Israel just announced around $730 million in Hasbara funding to try and sway the minds of these exact people, and it will not work. Yeah, that was also unbelievable. I saw these pieces. People just straight up saying, I think Israel is the reason for instability in the region. These are Trump voters, chat. Some of them, many of them, former Trump voters, or some of them, Trump skeptic former Trump voters. Incredible stuff. Anyway, I got to talk to Joyanne Reed right now. Okay. And there's going to be a 20-minute virtual segment with Joyanne Reed. Hold on. Start virtual camera. Why isn't it working? Your browser can't access your devices. Close any applications that might be using your camera mic, Skype, and Zoom. Then refresh the page. God damn it. This happened last time too. Hold on. How do we fix this? Hello?
Hi, Hasan.
Hey, what's going on? We're
Hi,
live right now, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just checking your mic. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put you backstage, and then Joy will bring you in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. No King, Rotten Court, The Joy Reid Show. That is the show I'm on. How do I unionize my workplace? Go talk to your coworkers. Brush your beard? My beard is fine. My hair is a little crazy, but it'll be all right.
So my next guest has a way of enraging, just enraging both centrist Democrats and right-wingers, particularly those on Fox, who are like obsessed with him. Even the New York Times made time to profile him, of course, focusing on Charlie Kirk, and make him the latest boogeyman for the pro-Israel bipartisan crowd. Left and right have accused him of promoting extremism. Now, Hasan Piker, who is one of the leading voices that bridges young people, the digital generation, progressive politics, and culture, has a massive platform. He's got over 11.3 million combined followers, including 1.9 million on YouTube, 3.1 million on Twitch. That's why I said our Twitchies are having their moment. Okay, y'all Twitchies, this is your day. And for a lot of particularly younger people, he is becoming a primary source of political commentary on domestic and international politics, whether the Democratic Party and Fox like it or not. Now, his latest venture is sure to provoke even more outrage. Here's the first minute of his mini doc on his investigative report and trip to our next war target, Cuba.
We speak, there are 11 million people living 90 miles off the coastline of the United States of America in a Caribbean island nation known as Cuba, experiencing a severe crisis. Everyday life is being brought to a screeching halt. There are nationwide blackouts caused by a total collapse of the country's electrical grid. There's a shortage of food and medicine. They can't pump drinking water. Cuba has been starved of the most important resource to make modern life work: oil. For over 60 years, the United States has maintained a trade embargo against Cuba. Under the embargo, it's nearly impossible for foreign companies to invest and do business in Cuba while trading with the United States. For years, I've wanted to visit Cuba. I wanted to learn about the problems caused by the embargo. I wanted to see a socialist society in person. Last month, I took the opportunity to go as a part of a humanitarian mission to bring aid that my government won't. I'd be accompanying Progressive International alongside hundreds of others from around the world. Activists, journalists, artists, and politicians will be coming to the island by boat and plane to deliver over 40 tons of necessary supplies, food, medicine, and medical equipment. Our first stop is Miami, Florida.
And Hasan Piker joins me now. Hey, Hasan, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
What's going on? Can you hear me?
we got you. How are you?
Okay, perfect. Hi, thank you for having me. That was a fantastic introduction, and I'm honored to be here. This is very exciting. It's I put myself down as dangerous radical in my title, but I guess your producers changed that, and they thought it's better to put Twitch streamer and political commentator down there.
I didn't see dangerous radical in the. I'm going to have to talk to my producers because I would have preferred to say dangerous radical. I'm going to read you the intro. Joining me now is dangerous radical Hasan Piker, who scares the crap out of everybody left and right. Before I get to the Cuba piece, why do you suppose people are so obsessed with you? Why are you that dude that's causing all that conversation? What are you doing?
I think to explain it in the shortest way possible, I'm unbought and unbossed. And that is precisely the reason why I'm uncontrollable. I'm only accountable to my own opinion, to my own integrity, to my own. That is a very frustrating phenomena that a lot of the Democratic Party has never had to deal with. For the longest time, they were the gatekeepers of appropriate conversations, and they could just cast aside voices on the sidelines that wanted more from the Democrats, that wanted a more responsive party, that wanted a party to focus on the working class. They could determine the conditions. They could determine what kind of concessions they would give to the working class. And now they have a megaphone that doesn't have any sort of corporate sponsorships whatsoever, and is entirely funded by his own audience. And that is terrifying for a lot of people. And of course, one of the major issues that even Ken Martin was just talking to the Podjohns about is this autopsy that I think we all know revealed a lot of information about the Democratic Party's allegiance to Israel's side, and how that may have played a really negative role and a huge role in the loss that Kamala Harris withstood in front of an incompetent fascist by the name of Donald Trump.
Do you consider yourself a Democrat, or are you DSA? Like, what do you hold to a political party?
I am. I'm organization agnostic, is what I say. I mean, I work most commonly with the DSA, but I work with the Democrats, and the DSA obviously filters their electeds through the Democratic Party's machine. But I work with the PSL as well, Party for Socialism and Liberation. I have, I work with anybody and everybody that wants to fight fascism in this country. I'm an anti-fascist first and foremost.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I was reading your bio, and what's interesting is, I'm Generation X. I guess you'd be either an alpha or millennial. I feel like Generation X, we're kind of the last captured generation, if that makes sense. Like, we are the generation that was pretty much like captured by the Reagan economy and sort of the Reagan culture. And really, we're either like Democrats or Republicans. I feel like I even am placing my own, kidults who are your age and younger. But they're not captured. They are not necessarily they don't really have any fealty to a political party. They're more ideologically kind of free, right? And so they kind of look at politics in a different way. And so I think that is where this sort of intense critique of the Israel thing is coming from. It's where the, critique of the wars are coming from. Do you feel that the way that you think about Israel and Palestine, which weirdly enough is the way I think about it too, but I was lonely and alone in Generation X. Most of us didn't think that way. I was kind of on my own there. But do you think that the way that you're thinking about it that is the common parlance, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
they're left or right.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the case, especially shortly after October 7. But now it's become the universal position. There's clearly a generational divide here as well. Obviously, for the generation 50 and above, they definitely have more loyalty to the most moral democracy in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, and that sort of narrative building has been very effective in capturing the attention of the older generation. But for people under the age of 50, it's gone. It's done. People look at this as a malign foreign actor that is causing tremendous instability, tremendous harm in the region, and people simply don't understand why we have to have this unlimited loyalty pledge to this foreign country. And it's also created a very interesting media environment, especially paired up with how much misinformation runs amok in a system where we don't really have consensus reality any longer, where a lot of people start making up their own minds on why. They start making up their own theories as to why people are so why our politicians are so unresponsive to our demands, and why they have this loyalty to the state of Israel. And that's where anti-Semitic conspiracies start manifesting left and right.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that is probably why you're not shameable on issues like. I mean, I noticed whenever you do an interview, people ask you about Hamas. Like, this is a thing that happens with a lot of people who are on the left, and then you're asked to justify is Hamas the worst thing in the world, and you're like, well, you got to leave it there. I saw an interview where you did that. But I want to talk a little bit about Cuba, because this is the other issue where, for people my age, it's just baked into the cake that, Cuba is an authoritarian country. Jason and I actually went to Cuba as well. We're going to put up some video. I cut together a few of our stills, Jason. We went in 2017 when President Obama opened it up and allowed us briefly, you could go. And, I watched your Cuba documentary. It was very well done. You, Ryan Graham, and some others went down. And one of the things I noticed that is very different about the narrative that you were presenting and the narrative that I've always understood and even experienced in Cuba is that Cuba is an authoritarian place. Like, I don't know if you experienced this part of it, that there are men with long guns watching you. Like, you are on video cam all the time and being watched. Like, did you get that sense, or did you only get the sense of like the struggle, which is what you really well explained?
Yeah. No, as a matter of fact, in comparison to China, who I went to, who I visited, the place I visited last year, I would say that their surveillance state was virtually non-existent. And I actually had some independent journalists that work in Cuba, some of which have even been arrested by the Cuban government in the past. I asked them about their experiences in Cuba. They've worked all around Latin American countries, including in Venezuela, and they were saying that the Cuban government's surveillance initiatives are actually far less comprehensive than what you would see even in a place like America. Of course, the American surveillance state is much more insidious and nowhere near as hands-on, or at least it doesn't show itself until it needs to. But as far as the authoritarianism goes, I think these countries are, especially Cuba, it's 90 miles off the coastline of the United States of America, and it's been in a state of unlimited warfare by the largest hegemonic superpower since it, committed the ultimate crime of fighting and winning sovereignty and dignity for its people. The initial Cuban revolution wasn't necessarily a communist or a socialist revolution. It was an agrarian revolution. It was a national revolution. It was a social revolution. But it became a communist country after, a couple of years in to the initial revolution. And throughout that process, they've always wanted to maintain decent relations with America. They know they have to. And yet, America has had unbelievable revenge fantasies and chose to punish Cuba relentlessly and even push Cuba into the hands of the USSR in many respects. So having all of that in mind, I think I guess I understand why countries that are in a constant state of warfare, especially poorer and smaller countries, are going to engage in some level of repression because they're worried about instability born out of CIA interventions, quite frankly. And in comparison to many of these countries that I've read about and many of these countries that I've been to, I would say that the Cuban surveillance state or the Cuban authoritarianism is outright marginal, if not inconsequential even. Of course, there are still political prisoners and people that get arrested, but then I always pair that up with, my country, the United States of America. And I think about 3,500 college students, protesters that were arrested in the encampments that I personally visited, that I saw these kind people, these brave people that got not only violently apprehended by police forces and had their careers put in jeopardy, but also got physically attacked by counter-protesters, like in the case in the UCLA encampments, where I watched counter-protesters that don't go to UCLA storm the student encampment that was demonstrating peacefully in the quad and throw fireworks at these students, brutalize them with 2x4s, and even deploy lab rats. To this day, we don't know what they were trying to do, but there was a backpack. Someone brought a backpack full of rats and just released those rats into the student encampment. So potentially even biological warfare to say, to think that this is happening in Westwood, Los Angeles, California is unbelievable. And yet I experienced it. I saw it happen in real time. So I think it's not a justification for state repression in any way, shape, or form, but it's more so the reality that the United States of America does not need to engage in this level of repression as the dominant force around the planet, and yet it chooses to do so. And then, it feels insincere of me to go and criticize a country that is in a constant state of economic warfare and maybe even potentially direct hot war now, as Donald Trump is threatening, to turn around and say, oh, they're very repressive in comparison to the United States.
What's so interesting is that like all of the narratives that we all grew up in, that I grew up in my generation and the boomers ahead of me grew up with, Donald Trump has destroyed them all just by the activities of our government, right? I mean, when we can't talk about repression, because as you said, the repression here is so stark. I mean, people here are being put in concentration camps and in private prisons, and there are gray vans driving up to people and throwing random people into the van because they have an accent. It's really hard to then make the. And I went to Cuba, and we went to Cuba. We saw the men with the Kalashnikovs. They were on the. We were like, oh, this is really weird. There's 3 TV channels, but then here, okay, there's not 3 TV channels, but like 3 billionaires control all the TV channels. So it's like the same things are happening. And I want to talk a little bit about this idea of exiles. I lived in Florida. You said your first stop was Miami. I don't know if you talked to a lot of exiles on your way before you got to Cuba, but they're hardcore. Like these were the landowners, the property owners that lost their property when this revolution took place. They're in Miami. They want their country back, and they are hardcore Republicans, right? Your family is from Thessaloniki, which is, to me, one of the fun things about that is where Paul was writing to the Thessalonians in Turkey. I'm quite sure that Bibi Netanyahu, Smotrich, and Ben-Gvir want to steal your family's country and take that part of it and put it in Greater Israel, as far as I knew. But so that's where your family came from. I know you're from New Jersey, but I'm just saying your family. We interviewed your uncle, Jank, who I didn't know was your uncle until literally like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, my mind is blown. But, you know, as yourself, Turkey is one of those countries, right? It's got a repressive government. Erdogan, he's a terrible person. And the exile community says, overthrow it, replace it with something different. Same thing with these Iranians, right? You don't. I watched that piece that you did on it. So talk about that.
Yeah, so I can't.
Too.
Yeah, so I can't go back to Turkey. My whole family's there. My uncle passed away last year, and I couldn't go to his funeral because there is a very serious threat that if I do go back to Turkey, I would go to jail. And I know that the American government would never demand my release, considering that, you know, the current American government is not exactly too fond of me either. I've been detained by ICE in the past. So I, in spite of all of that, there was a coup that took place that was facilitated. At this point, it's damn near assured that it was the CIA. There was a Muslim cleric by the name of Fethullah Gulen, who lived in the Poconos, and he was a CIA asset. And they had designed this parallel state inside of Turkey, and they facilitated a coup d'état. It failed, and at the time, I remember thinking I would much rather have the repressive government of Recep Tayyip Erdogan than an American puppet installed in his stead, because at least, like, regardless of how much Recep Tayyip Erdogan still is a servant of American empire, there is still some semblance of sovereignty there in the decision-making process, as opposed to a CIA-installed puppet like Fethullah Gulen. And I wasn't alone in this, because regardless of his unpopularity at the time, there was a referendum that took place in the immediate aftermath of this coup d'etat, where Erdogan was able to, by referendum, change the Turkish constitution to a presidential system so he could actually secure more power, and power that he is still using to this day. And that referendum gave him the popular majority vote. And the reason for why that happened was because people said, we hate Erdogan, but we would rather have Erdogan than someone who is a puppet of Western forces. This, of course, this calculation, of course, doesn't necessarily factor in the reality that Erdogan is a Western puppet himself as well. But still, there are sovereign decisions that he makes, as opposed to someone who would be directly in the hands of the American state.
Well, I mean, Iran is the same thing. I mean, there are Iranian exiles who were doing the Trump dance. They were so excited that we bombed Iran, that we've invaded Iran. You know, you talk about the Iran war a lot on your stream. Your generation is the one that's being asked to fight this. You know, they've now reinstalled, they have now, for the first time, made signing up for the draft automatic. Selective service will now just automatically scoop everyone up, including undocumented people in it. Are you worried about a draft?
Well, I'm 34. I'm about to be 35, so I feel like it's probably not going to get to me. But,
oh no, they put it up to 42, my friend. It's up to 42.
I've seen that, but also the other side of it, of course, is that you know, I'm a dangerous traitor. So they must be trying to get my old ass in there. Having said that, am I worried about a draft? Yes and no. I'm always worried about a draft, but there is also a sense of opportunity, because part of the reason why I think the American population has been unresponsive to all of our military adventurism overseas is because we have a draft right now. It's the poverty draft. Either people join the military because their family members were a part of it, and it's like a generational thing, or they do it because they want a semblance of upward social mobility that the military offers. In other countries, of course, these amenities are not really amenities at all. A free college education, or a college education that actually has the state paying you to go get educated, and free healthcare, are provided to every single citizen in most OECD nations unconditionally. Here in the United States of America, you have to sign the dotted line and sell your soul to the Pentagon so you can go wage wars, sometimes at the behest of petro-capitalist pedophiles and other times at the behest of Israel even, like we're seeing here in Iran. Then that's the only way you can get these amenities, right? If there was a draft, on the other hand, it would force a lot of people to be more responsive and force a lot of people's hand into actually taking action like we saw in the Vietnam era. That's the reason why that's at least one of the reasons why there isn't really a massive, robust anti-war movement that's active in the streets right now. That, and of course, the unbelievable amount of suppression that both the Biden administration and the Trump administration put on the pro-Palestinian movement.
Yeah. You said in one of your posts that I think it was on your stream that you voted for Kamala Harris. You called yourself a harm reduction voter. She may run again. There are lots of people who are teeing up, maybe Cory Booker and others. What case would need to be made to you to support a Democrat in 2028? What would you need to see them have on their agenda?
Well, I think they need to be anti-genocide. I think that they need to commit to holding Israel accountable, not just on arms embargo, but I want them to also hold Israel accountable for this genocide that they committed. This would also obviously include holding our American administrations accountable as well, and not just on the issue of Israel not abiding by the pre-existing laws like the Leahy Law that dictates that no arms trades can take place if a country is found in violation of human rights with the American arms that we're shipping and we're selling. And Israel certainly has been violating all rules in the rule book. With the weapons that we've trafficked to Israel. So I also think that accountability is necessary on the domestic issues as well. I want an American president who will say, look, there's been far too much graft, far too much grifting in this country, and we're going to let these corrupt people steal your money and engage in these sorts of schemes with impunity. We are going to hold them to account. Jon Ossoff, regardless of my criticisms of Jon Ossoff, has actually done a very convincing case on this issue in Georgia. He talks about this extensively, and I think that's going to be a major issue in the midterms and certainly in the upcoming election as well. I think that there is a lot of appetite in the base for someone who will actually say enough is enough. We have to hold these people accountable, because if we don't, if no one feels like there's any accountability, then they're going to continue committing crimes. And I think it's totally ridiculous that we've allowed the wealthy to get away with stealing our resources, our productive output for far too long. And now they're more bold, they're more brazen with their rampant theft. So someone's got to put an end to that. So I hope that a Democratic politician can commit to that as well. And then on top of that, I want a politician that will uplift the working class, the material conditions of the working class. I want a politician that is truly anti-war, a politician that says we have spent far too much money on the military-industrial complex to wage wars overseas. It's time to focus on building this country. It's time to make America truly great. And that means we are going to focus on healing ourselves. We're going to focus on Medicare for all. We're going to focus on educating ourselves and become a competitive country in the global marketplace again. That means free college education for all, unconditionally, without any without having the need to sign your soul to the Department of Defense. And those are amenities that we absolutely could provide to every single citizen. We are the wealthiest nation on the planet, after all, the wealthiest nation that's ever existed in the history of the planet. So I find it unbelievable that Democrats can't come together and unite around this convincing message that would be very popular with not just the existing base of the Democrats, but very popular with the independents, and certainly even with Republicans too, regardless of how cult-like they are currently.
Yeah. Before I let you go, the Republicans seem to be uniting around a message that it is the left that is politically dangerous and that is using dangerous rhetoric to put Republicans' lives in danger. Around this White House Correspondents' Dinner, situation. They're trying to say, aha, this proves that, there really is a left-wing attempt to attack Republicans. They have put you in that. They've said that you are dangerous to them. What do you make of this? Because it's stupid. I just played a whole 2-minute clip of, wait, go on. No, go on.
Yeah, no, it's true. I am the danger. We are the danger. And I need them to understand this. We're dangerous to the corporate bottom line. We're dangerous to profit seekers. And that's the only thing that our politicians and many in the media care about right now. So in some respects, they are correct. The danger is what might happen to profit seekers who want to paywall healthcare. And I don't mean like, divine retribution or punishment of any sort. I mean the worst punishment of all, where they can no longer justify multi-million-dollar salaries. I am a danger to those who seek profit and put the interests of profit over the interests of people. And that's precisely the reason why they attack people like myself, because I'm beholden to no one but my own community. I'm beholden to no one but the American working class, which, as Zoran also says, is the majority in this country.
It is indeed. Hasan Piker, I hope you have your passport updated because the new one has Trump's picture on it. I don't know if you've talked about this yet on your show.
I have not seen it. He's so handsome.
Oh, Lord. No, we're not. Don't lie. See, now don't lie now. Your credibility was really good up until you said that. He is not handsome. He looks crazy. And I'm thankful that my passport does not expire for until the 2030s. Hasan Piker, I hope you'll come back. Thank you for being on. And I appreciate the conversation. Thank you very much. All right, take care. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. This is somebody that has been sort of portrayed as this sort of insane person, but I feel like you do have to hear people in their authentic